Hello, everyone. Let me just give a few seconds for the music to dissipate off into the distance as it fades out like a nice Terrence Malick sunset. Welcome back, one and all, to another exciting episode, spy number of Chasing Labels. This is episode number or spy number 161, and we are coming to you live here uh, on the last day of March of 2025, March 31st. So tomorrow is April Fool's Day. Tomorrow is April 1st. Tomorrow, of course, for those of you who are collectors, like myself, excuse me, tomorrow there will be a new announcement for Vinegar Syndrome as well as their partner label titles. Obviously, since it's the day before that, you won't get any of that here. You will probably get it on either the next episode, or I'm contemplating, now don't hold me to this, I'm contemplating just doing kind of a interstitial, intermittent episode of just going through those titles when they are announced and when I get around to watching as many of them as I can. That also depends on what happens within the next 2 weeks in terms of what we get for announcements and what my schedule is looking like, energy-wise, motivation, all of those things. But today we will be going through all of the kind of remaining announcements from March of 2025. Welcome to, I guess, the early days of spring. Spring has sprung here, depending on where you are in the world. I could definitely tell you that here in northeastern United States, it is springtime, although the weather is not springish at all. But before we get into all of the stuff that I'll be getting into, I did pick up a couple of interesting things over the last little while. There was a Warner Archive sale. There was a Warner Archive sale on moviezing.com. Now, moviezing.com is not a site that we talk about a lot here on Chasing Labels. It's not a site that I think many people use, or many people may not be aware of it, but you can find some deals on moviezing.com. That's movie, and I think it's ZYNG.com. I think that's how you spell it, moviezing, and I bought from there before. But sometimes, occasionally, they will have Warner Archive sales, and they'll be similar to the old Warner Archive sales they used to get on the WBshop.com. The now defunct WBshop.com, there's a new WB shop, but they don't sell things like the old one did. They sell mostly merchandise for a lot of the WB properties, like current TV shows, like things that are on HBO, like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones. They sell things for like Ted Lasso, like you can buy stuff from that show, which is coming back actually, coincidentally. But moviezing.com is kind of adopting their old style of the 4 for $44 sale when it comes to Warner Archive. Now, moviezing.com recently had a sale for 4 titles for $49. Not quite as sweet as the old four titles for $44, but you make do with what you can in this day and age. So I picked up 4 titles, and these just came in the mail recently. So luckily they came here in time. And these are all titles that I have had on DVD before. So they're on DVD, and I've wanted to upgrade them in my collection over the last few years, but they've never really quite fallen into the price range that I personally have for Warner Archive titles. For me, I like to get the Warner Archive titles for a specific amount of money, and sometimes that, they don't fall into that category, especially now with them not being available on the WBshop.com website. You're basically stuck with getting them for a rather premium price, which for me isn't quite the value, because for most of the time with Warner Archive, you're getting a movie that they've previously released on DVD, and you're getting a Warner Archive edition of it, and it's usually just porting over that movie and those special features, nothing new to really add to it, other than the fact that the transfers for Warner Archive titles have been notoriously fantastic for like the last 10 years. They've been really, really good, and I say that every single time we get an announcement from them, which we'll probably get one next month, I'm assuming. So I want to get in, just quickly go over what I got, and then we'll get into some other stuff. beforehand. I just want to make sure that I am indeed streaming and that everything is going well with the stream. For those of you who are listening audio wise, you do not care about what's going on with the stream whatsoever. It looks like we're good. Okay, just like it looks like we're good. I always like to double check these things, but yeah. So I got the movie Battleground, which is um, who directed the movie Battleground? I think it's a William Wellman film. Yeah, Battleground is a William Wellman film. I had this DVD for years, so now upgrading to the Blu-ray. It's a World War II film. I believe it was made afterwards, made in 1949. This is a really great World War II film, like kind of underrated, and I would highly recommend people check this out. This is really really good. Then I've got what else do I have here? Another World War II film. They Were Expendable. This is the John Ford film starring John Wayne, of course, and Robert Montgomery. Donna Reed is in this film as well. And this is another, World War II film. If there's one thing with John Wayne is that he did westerns and military movies. Not all of his career was encompassing those things, but a lot of his career did. At least his more well-known stuff. And of course, this is one of his many collaborations with John Ford. I've had the DVD for years, so finally upgrading to the Blu-ray. And then I've got another John Ford, John Wayne team up here, and this is She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. An underrated film, I think, in his catalog, in my opinion. Maybe not underrated, maybe just to me. But She Wore a Yellow Ribbon at one of his Civil War films, actually, starring John Wayne, Joanne Drew, John Agar, Ben Johnson, Harry Carey Jr., and She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. I remember watching a documentary about John Milius, and John Milius talking about how much he loved this movie, and how kind of inspiring it was to him. So that's She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. And then last but certainly not least is a Western. And this is a Jimmy Stewart Western starring like I said, Jimmy Stewart Western, directed by Anthony Mann, also starring Janet Leigh, Robert Ryan, and Ralph Meeker. This is one of the several collaborations that Jimmy Stewart did with Anthony Mann after World War II, one of the several westerns they did together. And I've had this DVD for a long time, and I've been looking to upgrade it because I want to upgrade all of the Anthony Mann stuff I have to Blu-ray. Winchester 73 just came out from Criterion. That got a 4K release, and I really need to get that. I almost bought it during the flash sale that Criterion just had, and I should have, but I didn't, and I regret it. So now I think I have to wait until the Barnes & Noble sale in July. Or maybe not. My birthday is in June, so maybe I'll get that for my birthday, or maybe I'll get it sooner than that. It really all depends on how sick I get of looking at the DVD on my shelf for Winchester 73. But I no longer have to look at the Naked Spur on my shelf on DVD because I have the Blu-ray. A really good Western starring Jimmy Stewart. I was a skeptic when it came to Jimmy Western Stewart's back in the day. But they've grown on me significantly over the years. Other things that I got recently, I don't know if I showed this off last time. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But please bear with me if I'm doing it again. I went to my local Walmart, and just by luck of the draw, really, I was able to get some recent new releases from them while I was there. And that is, let me just put these in actual order here. Kill Bill Volume 1. Got a 4K UHD release recently. Unfortunately, I heard that this is not such a great transfer. I heard mostly the reason being is that it's more of an up conversion from the HD Blu-ray to the 4K, and they didn't really go back and give it the necessary, remastering and reconstruction that it probably needed. Granted, the film isn't old; these aren't old films, but they still probably needed the work to be put in them. I heard that Kill Bill Volume 2, though, does look much better than Volume 1 on 4K UHD, so I got them both. I wanted to get Jackie Brown. To be honest, I wanted Jackie Brown more than I wanted either of the Kill Bill movies, because Jackie Brown for me is one of my favorite Tarantino films, and I would probably rank Jackie Brown ahead of either Kill Bills. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take. Not quite sure. But they didn't have it. Oh, they had one copy left, but it was kind of destroyed within its little plastic case, and I wasn't going to pay for a destroyed copy. But last but certainly not least is one of my favorite films from last year, and that is Robert Eggers' film Nosferatu. This is already out in 4K. I feel like I was just talking about this on the podcast when it came out with all of you listening. And I know several of you had gone to the movie theater to see it at the time because it had just come out. And now it's literally already out on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. That's how quick the turnaround is now. For a lot of mainstream movies that are coming out in theaters, the, it's getting to home video very quickly, and it's coming to not streaming, but you can rent it at home in less than 3 weeks. In less than 3 weeks. It's kind of astonishing how quickly the turnaround is these days. So that is all of these things that I got recently. There are a bunch of sales that are currently going on, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. Arrow is having their Easter sale that they have every year. Kino is having their Easter spring season sale that they have every year. Amazon's been having a buy two get one free sale now for a little while. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. I think they were just doing that to price match Target. And there's been some other sales that are going on too. But yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. But we do have some comments here before we get into things. We do have Acres of Movies says, yay for one of the best programs around. Wow, thank you. Donna Reed was underrated. Donna Reed was underrated. Have you seen Rock? I haven't seen it. I'm assuming you meant to write Rock Hudson, dark comedy, pretty girls all in the line. I have not seen that. It's probably one of the many Rock Hudson films I still need to get for my collection. Acres of Movies again says, do you like the 90s Western Bad Girls? I don't think I've seen it. To be honest, I don't think I've seen it. I'm going to add it to my list, though. Acres says, is it okay? I only like Stellan of All the Family. No other one of those for me. I'm assuming Acres of Movies means Stellan Skarsgård. There are many Skarsgårds. There's Stellan Skarsgård, there's Bill Skarsgård, there's Alexander Skarsgård. I think they're all really, really talented. Obviously, Stellan is the one that's, he's the father. He's been in so many movies. He's kind of a legend, if you will. But Alexander Skarsgård is a really good actor. Bill Skarsgård is really good as well. I think there's a third one, and I can't remember what he's been in. But a heck of an acting family, if you will. A heck of an acting family. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says Stellan from Good Will Hunting, not enjoying the performances of the other relatives. Well, you don't have to. You can, you know what I mean? No one says you have to, but Stellan Skarsgård in Good Will Hunting is very good. He plays the professor in that movie. For those of you who haven't seen it, he's the professor at, I think it's MIT. And he's the one who kind of discovers, Will, and discovers that he's the one who solves the equation on the blackboard. And he's the one who introduces him to the Robin Williams character to try to break through his mental issues that he's having in that movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. It really, really is. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says, I like the Alexander one in Battleship. I'm assuming you mean the Peter Berg film Battleship, which is a movie that I think I've seen once. But he is in that movie. So is Taylor Kitsch. I think Rihanna's in that movie as well. I don't even own it. But yeah, he's in that movie. But for me, Alexander Skarsgård, his best work is his TV work. Obviously, many of you probably know him in True Blood, but he's done a lot of other HBO and TV work. And that's where he's really shined. He's really, really shined in his TV work. But let's get into what we have to get into this week for episode spy number 161. It is the last week of the month. So let's start off with Kino. Kino didn't have much in the way of announcements this time around, so it's not going to be as long. And a lot of these are things I've talked about before, and they've just given us, street dates as well as special features. First up here is a movie called Nate and Hayes from 1983. And I think I've mentioned it before because it was announced, but it is coming out May 27th. Nate and Hayes, 1983. Brand new HD master from a 4K scan from the 35mm original camera negative. 2 new audio commentaries, one from film historian and author Dwayne Epstein, and another one from film historian Mike Leader and Russell Waite. Sorry, my eyesight's not great. Russell Waite, and that is it. But how can I describe this movie to people? If you ever wanted to see Tommy Lee Jones as a 19th century pirate, here is your chance. Like, because he is the Hayes in this title. His name is Bully Hayes, and he is a pirate from like the 1880s. Michael O'Keefe plays this Nate character who is, I think he's like a preacher or a studying preacher. He wants to become a preacher. And they end up having kind of this relationship with this woman, and this woman ends up getting captured, and they've got to go rescue her. That's kind of the movie. It's very Pirates of the Caribbean esque. A little, yeah, I would say it's more silly than that, but most of them are kind of pretty silly. But it's Tommy Lee Jones as a pirate in the 1880s. That's the best way to describe that movie. Michael O'Keefe, like I said, plays the other title character in this. Michael O'Keefe, people would probably know as Danny Noonan from Caddyshack. That's at least where I know him from mostly, but he's still acting to this day, as well as Tommy Lee Jones. So let's move on from Nate and Hayes. We do have some details now on the Wayne's World 2 4K UHD release. So this is also coming out May 27th now. I remember I announced a few episodes ago that this was coming. Super excited for it. This is a nostalgia thing for me. Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, Wayne's World Part 2. These are all kind of nostalgia films for me growing up watching these, specifically Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2. I watched those when I was super young, like elementary school aged young, because Wayne's World 2 came out in 1993. I was 6 years old. I was 6 years old. So I remember watching that on VHS. I remember watching Wayne's World on VHS. So now that they're both out on 4K, because there is a 4K from Wayne's World, it's a similar situation to Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. Wayne's World got a 4K UHD release directly from Paramount, and through the deal that Paramount has with Kino, they are releasing Wayne's World 2 through Kino. I guess they're saving what is perceived as the lesser film to the boutique label. To me, it's not a lesser film, in my opinion. Yeah, Wayne's World is better, but to me, Wayne's World 2, I still have so much fun with. But it is a 2-disc release. Disc 1 is the 4K UHD. It's brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. Audio comment, excuse me, audio commentary with director Steven Surgic, I think it's pronounced. And then on disc 2, which is the Blu-ray, it's brand new HD master. Audio commentary, extreme close-up featurette that runs 14 minutes long. 6 US. It says 6 US and 2 UK TV spots, and that's it. So you kind of just get an audio commentary and a featurette. That's about it. Not the deluxe treatment that I would prefer, but at least we're getting the movie in 4K. Next is a movie called Vertigo for a Killer from 1970. This is just announced. It says coming on Blu-ray 2023 4K restoration by Studio Canal. So I assume Studio Canal has already put this out. Let me go check Blu-ray.com really quickly. Vertigo for a Killer. I guess it hasn't. No, it hasn't. That's odd. It's interesting that Studio Canal would do a restoration and not put it out on Blu-ray or 4K. But Vertigo for a Killer is a movie I did not get to watch. And wow, not even a synopsis here. So I've got to go to my letterbox to get the synopsis for it. Let's see. I don't think I need to give a synopsis for Wayne's World 2. They've got to put on a rock show. That's kind of the premise of the movie. Wayne Campbell, portrayed by Mike Myers, has a vision, has a dream that he's visited by the late great Jim Morrison that tells him he's got to put on a rock concert. It's kind of like Field of Dreams, but with rock and roll music, which I'm all for that. Let me see, where am I going? Yeah, going to my watch list. Let's see. Vertigo for a Killer. Jean-Pierre Desan Desagnat Ver oh boy. Jean-Pierre Desagnat's Vertige pour un tueur involves Mark as hood hunted down involves Mark as a hood hunted down by his boss when he fails to execute a man who happens to be his friend. He is hidden by a woman whose husband has murdered his business associate and wants Mark to take the rap for the crime. Sounds very noir-esque. Sounds very neo-noirish. It is 1970. It is a French film. Sounds like there's some twists and turns, wheelings and dealings, backstabbings going on here. So I'm curious about it. That's something I want to keep under my radar. I could not find this to stream anywhere. I couldn't rent it anywhere. Couldn't find it anywhere online at all. So the only way to see it would be through disc. So Vertigo for a Killer is the movie. Yeah, that is it. So moving on from there is a movie called Dead Again. Dead Again, it says coming soon on 4K UHD, brand new HDR master. Dead Again from 1991. This is a movie starring Kenneth Branagh and directed by Kenneth Branagh and starring Emma Thompson, Andy Garcia, Wayne Knight, and Robin Williams are all in the film. And it's produced by Sidney Pollack. And let me see what the premise is for this. Because that's another twisty turny type of movie, and it's kind of tough to nail the plot without getting a nice concise synopsis that these websites host for for us really. So Dead Again. In 1949, composer Roman Strauss is executed for the murder of his wife. In 1990s Los Angeles, a detective comes across a mute amnesiac woman who is somehow linked to the Strauss murder. Yeah, so what you get in this movie is you've got kind of these flashbacks to this 1949 murder case, and then you got like 1990s people kind of unearthing it, kind of discovering it, and their connections to it. I won't say anything else other than that because there is a mystery at the center of this. It's an okay movie. It's not great. It's not bad. It's a little too heady. I don't know why. It's a little kind of over serious in many ways, especially with his music cues. Like it's really amping up the drama. It's very much a melodramatic film. It's a melodrama from 1991. Very theatrical in its portrayal of its acting, which makes sense. I mean, Kenneth Branagh does have a theater background. Heck, he's known for doing Shakespeare adaptations with Henry V, as well as Hamlet, as well as Much Ado About Nothing. So that makes sense, I guess. But for this type of material, it kind of didn't need it, and it kind of came off a little false while watching it. But that is the movie Dead Again. Let's see. Let's move on from Dead Again. Kingpin, which we talked about already, is also coming out on May 27th. 2-disc edition, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master for the theatrical cut from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. New audio commentary by entertainment journalists, authors Brian Reisman and Max Every. On the second disc, disc 2, which is the Blu-ray HD master of the theatrical cut, new, and the extended cut. So you only get the extended cut in HD, not 4K. So, and they're both coming from a 4K scan of the 35mm elements. Audio commentary by directors Peter and Bobby Farrelly. On the extended cut, new commentary from those same journalists, Brian Reisman and Max Every, for the theatrical cut. It says Kingpin's extra frames with the Farrelly brothers. Featurette 19 minutes and 14 seconds. So the Farrelly brothers are from where I live. They're from Rhode Island. And I think Peter Farrelly went to the same college that I did. So not at the same time. He went decades earlier. But they're from here, which is kind of cool. So yeah, you get the theatrical cut of Kingpin and the extended cut on Kingpin. The difference in time for those two, theatrical cut is 114 minutes, and then the extended cut is 117 minutes. So, of course, the Farrelly brothers, or Farley brothers, however you want to pronounce their name, I probably should have figured out how to pronounce their name by now, but of course I haven't. They're the minds behind Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene. And this movie is like a classic comedy starring Woody Harrelson, Randy Quaid, Chris Elliott, and Bill Murray. Let me just read what it says here. It says Woody Harrelson, Chris Elliott, Bill Murray, um, come up winners in this riotous gag-a-second comedy with plenty of balls. Harrelson is Roy Munson, a pro bowler who seems destined for greatness or as close to greatness as a bowler can get. But after a run-in with angry competitors, Roy finds himself sadder, wiser, and minus his bowling hand. Years later, he meets the naive Ishmael, who is Randy Quaid and Amish bowling whiz. Together, they set out for $1 million tournament in Reno. Along the way, pick up Claudia, a sexy vixen with brains, attitude, and really big ideas. With her help, they make it to the tournament. But will Roy and Ishmael win the big match and score fame and fortune, or will their hopes and dreams go barreling down the gutter? A lot of bowling references in that synopsis, but this is a movie that I'm sure many of you probably have seen, many of you probably have. It's a fun comedy by the Farrelly brothers from when did this? 1996. Okay, 1996. I remember when this came out. I would have been 9 years old when this came out, so I think I saw it like years afterward. I think I've only seen it once, and I have it in my collection. I have the Blu-ray that was put out, I think, by Paramount several years ago. I think it was part of their 100-year anniversary Blu-ray release cycle. I'm not sure. I'm looking over on my comedy section of my shelf, and I can't do alphabetical order in my head very quickly because I'm going back and forth scanning. I'm going from H to M, and I can't find it, but it should be in there. Anywho, that's Kingpin. So moving on from Kingpin, we've got an advertisement for their March Madness sale. Like I said, is going on right now. It's going on until April 21st. So it'll be going on for at least the next 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Check out their sale. There's a lot of good stuff you can find in there if you dig deep. Some of their 4Ks are on sale, and those are all pretty good. Recently, I actually finally got to watch one of their 4Ks. I watched Mystery Men. Mystery Men, a movie from my childhood. I saw this when it came out back in the theater. My goodness. Back when it came out in 1999. I was 12 years old because I think this came out, I want to say, during the summer of 1999. I remember my late great Uncle Al, took all of us to go see this movie. And that was probably the last time I saw it, was seeing it in the theater in 1999. And the memory of that has always stuck with me. And yeah, I always thought that this was based on a comic book because it feels so comic booky, and I don't think it is because I haven't been able to find any information that's based on a comic book. But it's just about a group of super kind of dumb superheroes and have to rise to the occasion. Wildly comedic, wildly set in its time. Definitely late '90s movie. Really great cast in here. You've got Greg Kinnear's in the movie. Jeffrey Rush is in the film. You have, the late, Pee Wee Herman is in it. Janine Garofalo, Kel Mitchell, Wes Studi. By Pee Wee Herman, I mean Paul Rubens, who just passed away recently. Coincidentally, another personal connection. Janine Garofalo went to the same college as I did as well. Interesting that I'm bringing that up. William H. Macy is in here too. I think I mentioned Ben Stiller already. But yeah, an interesting film. This was directed by somebody, I think this was their first film. Because I think they had just done like music videos or commercials work before this. Either way, this movie took a few years to get into production. Went through a lot of different drafts when it came to the screenplay. And I think they even were working on the screenplay while they were making the movie, coincidentally. But this Blu-ray looks really, really good. A lot of good special features on here too. That's just me going off on a sidetrack here because I finally got to watch my copy of that recently. But we do have some comments here. Let's see, where did I fall off? Let's see. Hold on, I gotta scroll back up. Let's see. Acres the movie says, you run a farm, hire 4 farm workers, and 3 apply, choose 2. Crawl, the Pauly Shore character in Son-in-Law. Okay. Kirstie Alley character in For Richer or Poorer. Hugh Grant, did you hear about Morgan's? Um, I'm gonna go with Pauly Shore because he's got experience working at a farm, and he also you saw him improve on working on a farm as well in Son-in-Law. So that's my number one pick there. Um, and you know what? I'll go with Hugh Grant too. He seems like a smart guy. Go with Pauly Shore and Hugh Grant are gonna work on my farm. Uh, Next, Acres of Movies says, who played pirates better for you, Walter Matthau or Tommy Lee Jones? Nathan Hayes was a fun movie, not on cable often. This was actually the first time I'd heard about it, so I had never heard about it until recently when it was announced. To me, Tommy Lee Jones looked incredibly great as a pirate. Completely absurdly great because he was like his beard and his hair was perfectly well done. His clothes were clean, and he was wearing a lot of white, like period piece clothing. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense for a pirate at this time to look this good. But he did. He looked dashing. Dashing. He was giving Errol Flynn vibes from Captain Blood era of Errol Flynn back in the day. I think that's what they were going for. For some reason, Hollywood tries to unearth like these long begotten subgenres or genres. Like the pirate movies try to make a comeback every so often. They tried doing it in the 70s and into the 80s, obviously, these swashbuckling movies. They tried doing it in the 2000s, of course, with the Pirates of the Caribbean films, which definitely worked. Those were successful. The problem is like I don't think any other pirates movies during that time were successful as the Pirates of the Caribbean films with Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, Jeffrey Rush again. I just mentioned him, but yeah, it's interesting how these genres try to resurface. Let's see. Acres of Movies also said excited for Dead Again and Kingpin. Thanks for describing features and discussing. Yeah, it's kind of what we do here, just to get people aware of when these are coming out, aware of what's coming with them, and to see if they want to buy them or not. It's kind of what we've been doing here on Chasing Labels now for 4 years. This is actually the 4-year anniversary of Chasing Labels this month. The month of March, 4 years ago, was when we launched our first ever episode of Chasing Labels. So back in March of 2021 was the first ever Chasing Labels episode. So we are 4 years into this. 4 years into it, coincidentally. Acres of Movies is asking a very important question here. Do you expect Airheads Blu-ray soon? Kingpin and Wayne's World 2 and 2 may pave the way. I want Airheads to be reissued on Blu-ray so badly because one of my biggest faux pas as a collector ever is those Airheads Blu-rays that now go for $100 or more on eBay and places like that. They were in bargain bins at places like Best Buy and Walmart and Target for a while, and they had tons of them, and I just never bought them. I just never bought one because I didn't think that they were going to go out of print anytime soon, because they're in a $6, $7, $8 bin. You know what I mean? These are going to be here, but lo and behold, they're not anymore. So Airheads, for those of you who have Airheads on Blu-ray, hold on to that as long as you can. I hope it happens. I hope somebody puts it out. Let me see quickly, because I don't want to take too much time here. Airheads, I want to see who put out the Airheads Blu-ray, just because it'll give me a sense of, okay, Stars/Anchor Bay. I don't know who's who's in charge of the catalog anymore. I know once upon a time, let's see, Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay Entertainment, excuse me, is still around. They're not defunct yet. As so many companies are. Interesting. Yeah, they're still around. So I don't know. I would have to do a whole investigative history of who has them. A company right now called Umbrellic Entertainment that was founded in 2018 acquired the rights to Anchor Bay in 2024, so a year ago. It says Thomas Zandbeck and Brian Katz plan to revive Anchor Bay. The new company will specialize in genre films, undiscovered treasures, cult classics, and remastered catalog releases. Hey now, hey now. Um, oh, distribution is being handled by MVD Entertainment Group. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's also said the library of former Anchor Bay will be retained by Lionsgate. So I don't know. So it's either between MVD and Lionsgate in terms of home video, I'm guessing. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with Airheads. I'm hoping they would license it out to somebody. Or if Lionsgate puts it out themselves, that would be kind of nice. Or if MVD puts out an edition of it, because they put out stuff as well. We haven't talked about them in a long time, to be honest. So I've got to check back in on what's going on over at MVD. I knew our friend Eric Wilkinson, who's been on Chasing Labels twice, was doing a lot of work over at MVD. I don't know if he's still there, because last time I saw him and talked with him, he was opening up his own like video and record store down where he lives down, I think New Jersey, Pennsylvania, in that area. He was opening up his own store down there, so I don't know what he's up to. Acres of Movies says I'm on cloud 9 for Swordfish. Interesting. We'll definitely get to the Arrow titles. Acres of Movies says he's talking about Swordfish scenes. Okay. And then Acres Movie also says, Dead Again, very interesting. Also Shattered from 1991 with Bob Hoskins and Berenger and Greta Scacchi. Both are similar a bit. Let's see. Acres Movie says, have you seen Goldie Hawn and John Hurd Deceived 1991? I have not. I am woefully uneducated when it comes to Goldie Hawn films. I haven't seen a lot of her work. I have Private Benjamin on DVD. Of course, I've seen her when she was in Overboard. But off the top of my head, there's so much more Goldie Hawn I have to see. So I've got to go. I got to go and find a list of Goldie Hawn films that are available for me to get and for me to watch. Oh, I was young. Acres of Movie says they saw Dead Again in the cinema. Very cool. Very cool. Says Acres of Movies asks, how much money are people paid for doing DVD commentaries? That is a good question. Probably a question I should have asked many of the people who have come on Chasing Labels, but that also is kind of a little bit too personal to ask. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm assuming it's based off of the person. I'm assuming someone like a Guillermo del Toro gets paid a lot more than someone like myself. I'm assuming there's a difference there in terms of how much someone gets paid to do a commentary on the movie. Maybe that's built into the contract that they do when it comes to director commentaries. When it's like someone who does freelance work, like we've had many freelancers here on Chasing Labels. Our friend Kat Ellinger, Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, our friend Adrian Martin, who's done work for extras. So many people we've had here. And I've never asked them. I've never asked them that. I always thought it was too personal. I don't know why. Let's see. Acres of Movies says Alan Rickman did terrific as Rasputin in the 90s HBO movie. Who would you cast as Rasputin now? Oh my goodness. First of all, Rasputin is kind of a nasty looking creature. Rasputin. I almost feel like you've got to get somebody. I don't know. I don't know why Adam Driver's coming to mind. Reese Fons maybe a little bit more appropriate. Someone like that. Let's see what else we've got here in terms of comments. Let's see. Acres of Movie says, have you heard of Map of the Human Heart is going to get a special edition anytime soon? Do you like that one? I haven't seen it. Acres of Movies, you always bring up movies I've never seen. Happy anniversary. I have watched many programs and only started recently. Awesome shows. Thank you very much. Always appreciate any support we can get here on Chasing Labels Land. Um, yeah, I want because the movie says I want Airheads with a commentary or features with Buscemi and other two. That would be nice. Um, I'm sure they would be down for it. Recently, when Brendan Fraser, when Brendan Fraser was doing the press tour for The Whale, he sat down with Adam Sandler and they talked about when they were making Airheads, and I thought it was a very nice conversation they had. They had nothing but glowing and just like very heartfelt, very positive things about that. They talked about like working with Chris Farley. They talked about working on the movie. And they talked about just kind of reminiscing about certain memories of making of it. I would want that as a special feature in general. Granted, I could probably look it up on YouTube, but still, it'd be cool to have. Um, Let's see. Acres of Movie says movies with Nino or Casey Simasco are usually good. I highly recommend 1999 John Sayles movie Limbo with him and Strathairn and Mastrio Antonio and Christopherson. Rest in peace, Christopherson. Yeah, I've been in a John Sayles mood lately. I still have these around me. Recently on our episode of the Unwatched pile, I watched City of Hope, which is another John Sayles film, and absolutely thought it was fantastic. I got my other John Sayles films here with next to me as well, with Matewan as well as Lone Star, and I've got to get other John Sayles stuff too. I really want to get Eight Man Out. But I'm kind of hoping there's a better edition of that coming out. I don't know if that's going to happen. As we mentioned on the Unwatched pile with our good friend Celeste Lacabra, there is a rumor that Brother from Another Planet is going to get a release from Criterion. That would be awesome because that movie, I think, desperately needs a really, really good release. That would be fantastic. But I'm always up for more John Sayles. Because the movie says you are a detective of physical media and special editions. Well, it is my passion. It is my passion. I've been collecting movies kind of my entire life, starting as a kid with VHS tapes, obviously moving to DVDs when DVDs came around, transitioning to Blu-rays, and now in the Blu-ray 4K market. So I've been collecting since I was a little kid. You know, when I was a little kid, I wanted to essentially do what I'm doing now, which is collecting everything I want from certain like have collections within collections. You know what I mean? Like be super minute and niche about it. Be very, kind of tailor made to my thing. But okay, that's thanks regarding Rasputin. Um a darts version of Kingpin, Acres the movie asks for that. Darts is actually very exciting. I don't know if anybody has been on like Instagram Reels or TikTok and seen like clips of the darts tournaments or darts like events or championships. The crowd goes crazy at those things. It is exciting as all heck. So yeah, why not? Why not? What else do we have here? So I guess the movie says I've been collecting too. Awesome. Yeah, I collect movies, books, comic books are pretty much my thing. Um, yeah, that's pretty much been my thing my whole life. Movies and books, and then later in my life collecting comic books since about 2011. I've been collecting comic books too. But back to the task at hand. There is a couple of two announcements left from Kino. We've got Last Known Address, which is a movie directed by Jose Giovanni. This is a film I actually watched last night. Very good film. Um, let's see. It just says coming soon on Blu-ray, 4K restoration by Studio Canal. Last Known Address is a 1970 film, and it's a bit of it's another neo noir. I'm gonna call it neo noir because I believe that's what it is. So we've got. Let's see. Let me get the description for Last Known Address. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go here. Let's see. So Marceau Leonetti, a competent and energetic officer, stops by chance the son of an influential lawyer driving under the influence of alcohol. Excuse me. A few months later, the lawyer falsely accuses Leonetti as being violent and incompetent. As a result, Marceau is transferred to a small police station where he meets young and beautiful Jean. or Jean. Soon they are faced with a tough investigation. So what happens is initially he's like he's like Simon Pegg's character in Hot Fuzz, where he's like, good cop, straight by the book, all this kinds of stuff, and people, I'm assuming, can't really stand him. So he ends up committing a faux pas of pulling over the son of a very rich, wealthy guy. And some months later, false accusations are made, and he gets basically put into someplace else, into a small town or whatever. But he gets called out of that small town to do an investigation about the police have a court case that they're doing where they've got a witness to take down like some big crime guy or whatever, but the witness has gone missing and they can't find him. So they want this Marceau Leonetti guy to find him. So he enlists the help of this woman who he helped out in another case, and now they're going to track down this guy, and that's the movie. It's a really good film. I really liked it a lot. It's not only has the hard boiled investigation type stuff, but it's got like a lot of great dialogue, a lot of great situations in it. There's also a lot about kind of like police duties, police not corrupt, yeah, corruption, politics, stuff like that as well. A lot of twists and turns that you get in film noir type of stuff. I dug it. I really dug it. The movie's called Last Known Address, coming out from Kino, I believe, in the future. Yeah, just on Blu-ray, 4K restoration by Studio Canal, and yeah, Last Known Address. And last but certainly not least was announced yesterday. The movie Road Trip is getting a 4K UHD release. Yes, you heard it here first. Not really first, but you've heard it here. Brand new HDR/DV master by Paramount Pictures, part of the Paramount Kino deal. The movie Road Trip from 2000. Now, this is a blast from the past. It's the 25th anniversary of that movie. First of all, I don't know where the last 25 years have gone, but there we go. I was 13 years old when this movie came out. 13 years old in 2000. This was the movie everybody was seeing. It's the sophomoric, raunchy teenage college age comedy. There was a big revival of that subgenre of comedy in the late 90s and 2000s. Huge revival. Started with American Pie in 1999. And you also had Can't Hardly Wait, which was a little more sincere, not quite, that raunchy comedy, kind of overshadowed by American Pie, honestly. Then you had Road Trip, you had Old School, of course you had Superbad, and there was a bunch of other types of teenage or college age raunchy comedies. And they were just a revival of movies we had seen in the 80s. Things like, well, I think Animal House was late 70s, but you know what I'm saying? Revenge of the Nerds, those types of stuff. And Road Trip, I've seen this movie so many times. Every single weekend, they used to play this movie on cable TV every weekend. Of course, it was edited down because they couldn't show the nudity or the language and all that kind of stuff. But I've seen this so many times. For this to get a 4K UHD release is kind of mind-boggling because it's not that type of movie. But they did give the American Pie films 4K UHD releases recently too. 88 films has been giving them 4K UHD releases. So, hey, what are you going to do? But this has a cast in it: Breckenmeyer, Sean William Scott, Amy Smart, Tom Green, DJ Qualls. I saw DJ Qualls I think at the first ever Comic-Con that I went to, the local comic book convention here in Rhode Island. I saw DJ Qualls there, and I've seen him, in other things many years. He was in The New Guy. That was another one of those types of comedies that came out around that time. I loved that movie. Yeah, these are all just super nostalgia trips for me. Anthony Rapp's in this film. Andy Dick is in this movie at one point. Fred Ward at one point. Yeah, man, what a movie. It's co-written and directed by Todd Phillips. So of course did the Hangover movies, did Due Date, War Dogs, did both Joker movies. But yeah, Road Trip, what a trip of a movie. And the movie's it's a road trip comedy movie with these friends from college they've got to intercept a letter that I think Breckin Meyer's character sent to his girlfriend. It's been so many years since I've seen it. Um, yeah, it's what a wildly dated concept. But yeah, it's either a letter or a message that he sent, like a voice message that he sent. Oh goodness, it's been so long. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen the movie. Let's see, road trip. It's yeah, that revival back then was quite a thing. A lot of the movies, they did things in those movies you could not get away with in movies today. Some of the language, some of the jokes, all that stuff. So after an Ithaca college student films his one night stand with a beautiful sorority girl, he discovers one of his friends has accidentally mailed the homemade sex tape to his girlfriend in Austin. In a frenzy, he must borrow a car and hit the road in a desperate bid to intercept the tape. That's what it was. That's what it was. He accidentally sent the tape to his girlfriend who's at another college like across the country. So now they've got to go on a road trip to get it. Freaking videotapes. We're talking videotapes. Even by 2000 standard, videotapes were kind of on their way out a little bit. DVDs had just started. Man, uh crazy. Um yeah, so that's everything from Kino. So Acres of Movies says something that's rather poignant. I love looking at my collections, like looking around and having a huge cinema or being at the cinema. I never imagined being able to collect and see anything. Always, it is great. I kind of feel the same way. And what I've been doing lately, specifically, is I've been kind of building out my catalog of titles. Uh, Getting things cheap, getting things that I've been kind of, hovering around getting for years, but never really wanted to pay a lot. And by this point, you can find a lot of cheap Blu-rays online that were very expensive before. Not very expensive, but like when they were new, they were expensive. Now you can find them for $2, $3, $4, and it's just ways you can build out your collection to where you don't have to rely on streaming. Essentially, you don't have to rely on streaming. You don't have to rely obviously on renting. You don't have to pay to rent online. All this kind of stuff. Just to me, there's just that comfort of having something and having it be available anytime I want it. Whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, comic book, like I said, I like that comfort. I like that comfort. So I've been doing that lately online. I've been on a lot of Whatnot. Whatnot is an app that has a lot of live auctions, so you can actually see the condition of what you're buying, as opposed to eBay, where you're kind of usually taking a chance, even if you see pictures. I've bought things on eBay that they look fine in pictures on the listing, and then I get them and they don't look what they look like on the listing. That's happened to me several times. So at least with like a Whatnot auction, you can actually ask the people, hey, can you open it up? Can I look at the disc to see if the disc is scratched? How's the slipcover condition? If you're a slipcover fiend like myself, you can see all that. Those are kind of cool. So I've got like a couple of stacks of those in another part of down here. And I've just kind of been building out, back catalog collection, essentially. So yeah, I need more shelves. That's what I need to, that's what I'm saying. I need more shelves. But let's move on to what else we've got cooking here on Chasing Labels. Let's move over to Umbrella. Umbrella had 5 releases, and I believe these are their June or July titles. Let me go check. And they've got quite a lot of stuff here, way more than I anticipated. So they've got 5 releases. These are their July titles. So Umbrella's already in July. So let's see. Let me just list off the individual things that they've announced, and then we'll get into them more intimately. So, a Michael Haneke collection, 1976 to 2012. That is a Blu-ray set. It's a 15 movie set. It's a big one. Then you've got Ozploitation Rarities Volume 3. You have a film from 1975, 1982, and 1985. Science of Sleep from the 2007 Michel Gondry film. Then you've got Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare from 2025. Intacto from 2001. So let's tackle the big one first. Let's tackle the Michael Haneke collection. So I've seen many of these movies. I haven't seen them all. And there's just too much for me to go through here in terms of each individual one, or else this is going to be I'll be here forever. I'll be here forever. But I will list off the movies that are in this release. So, Three Paths to the Lake from 1976, Lemmings Part 1 and Part 2 from 1979, Seventh Continent from 1989, Benny's Video from 1992, The Rebellion from 1993, 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance from 1994, The Castle from 1997, Funny Games from 1997. I think a lot of people are familiar with that film. Code Unknown from 2000, The Piano Teacher from 2001. I think a lot of people are familiar with that film. Time of the Wolf from 2003, Hidden from 2005, The White Ribbon from 2009, and Amour from 2012, which I think a lot of people are familiar with as well. That was a critical darling of that time. I believe it won Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars for that year. Um, a really heartbreaking film. The one, and for those of you who know Michael Haneke, uh, this won't sound informative to you, but Michael Haneke makes films that are incredibly heavy. They're heavy when it comes to not only their style of filmmaking and their pacing, their subject matter can be very heavy, and these films are not really made for everyone. They're made for a certain type of viewer, a certain type of cinephile, you could say, and a certain type of mindset of a person, an intellectual essentially, and they're really really good. Like Michael Haneke is one of the best filmmakers probably of our time, in my opinion, who is still with us. And I've seen several of these films, and several of these films have been released before. So I have several in my collection. For example, I have The Piano Teacher, I have Amour, I have The White Ribbon in my collection. Uh, Funny Games, I know is one that many people have in their collection. I don't have it, and I know Criterion's put out a Blu-ray of it. And he also did a shot-for-shot remake of Funny Games too, an American version with English language actors. He's an Austrian filmmaker, so a lot of his films are in Austria, some are in France. Um, yeah, he's such a wide-ranging director, and this box set here of 15 films gives you a sense of the gamut of him as a filmmaker. Like you're going all the way from the 70s all the way up to 2012. Yeah, 2012. So you're getting a lot of Michael Haneke in here, and there is a collector's edition of this box set with a 100-page hardbound book, with essays by a bunch of people. You got a custom die-cut rigid case. Like I said, it's a big thick case. You get a canvas poster. That's canvas is a nice quality. Limited edition numbered release. I'm not sure what this is numbered to. But looks like every single movie has special features. Yeah, and they have new special features too. Yeah, every single one. Let me see how many discs are here. Let's see. I think it's a 13. Yeah, it's a 13 disc set. So 15 movies on 13 discs. Oh, I also have Cache as well. So the movie Hidden is also known as Cache. I have that on DVD. I don't think that's got a Blu-ray release here yet. For all I know, all of these could come out on Criterion at some point that I haven't been released yet. But every single one of these movies has uh new audio commentary at least. Even The White Ribbon has three new special features. The White Ribbon's a very good film. The White Ribbon, I believe, won the Palme d'Or when it came out, and that's a movie I thought about for years, and it stuck with me for a long time. That's the one thing also with Michael Haneke films, they tend to stay with you. They really get under your skin, and they really leave a lasting impact. He's one of those types of directors, but very much so. He's a daunting director. I don't dive into his work a lot because it's challenging. It's very challenging. I know Criterion put out a Michael Haneke box set of some of his work, and I had to watch all of them, or as many as I could find, for chasing labels. And afterward, I was so exhausted, so exhausted by just watching a couple of them. Just watching one of them makes me exhausted. Like after you watch a Michael Haneke film, you've got to take the rest of the night off. You can't follow it up with anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my relationship with Michael Haneke, and this box set is massive. Um, yeah, this box set is massive. let's see, where am I? Yeah, so let's move on from there. I don't want to get into like I said, if you want to check out all of those special features, go to shop.umbrellaent.com.au. That is shop.umbrellaent.com.au. Excuse me. But the Ozploitation Rarities Volume 3 is interesting. Hold on. I do want to check one thing. So the Michael Haneke set, yeah, the standard is out of stock, but the collector's edition, which is the more expensive one, is still in stock. Or, you could always buy these movies individually, try to track them down as well. However you want to collect. But Ozploitation Rarities, here we go. So we've got 3 films in this box set. We've got Scobie Malone from 1975, Goodbye Paradise from 1982, and The Empty Beach from 1985. Newly restored in glorious high definition. These are hard-boiled thrillers. Swap the Outback horrors and grindhouse excess of previous volumes for sun-soaked corruption, political intrigue, and down and dirty detective work. From Bondi to Brisbane, these gripping neo-noir thrillers paint a uniquely Australian vision of crime and deception, restored and packed with special features. Ozploitation Rarities Volume 3 is an essential addition for fans of down under noir, hard-boiled mystery, and classic Australian cinema. I really wish I had gotten to see these movies. I watched one of them. I did get to see one of them. I got to see The Empty Beach. Yes. So let me just talk about The Empty Beach very quickly. Let's see. Where are you, Empty Beach? That's not where I want to go. Speaking of Australian films, our friend John Matthews from Australia is currently working on his new label, and I believe he's been showing stuff off on the Instagram and the Facebook page of stuff that they've been doing, and I think it's called New Wave. Let's see, New Wave Video, and they already have their first title in the works. So New Wave Video is going to be a new label that we will be talking about here on Chasing Labels when it indeed is announced. Yeah, they already announced an original. Yeah, this says here on their Facebook page, an original 16mm negative has just arrived from Japan. More details will be shared soon. So that's New Wave Video from Australia. So back to Ozploitation Rarities, back to The Empty Beach. Let's see. Empty Beach from 1985. Let's see. So before shady businessman John Singer disappeared off Bondi Beach, his name meant money, big and small, clean and dirty, a man absorbed in a world of greed and dishonesty. Singer's widow, Marlon, was that Marion? No, it says Marlon. Marlon believes he's still alive, and she employs the investigative skills of the rough, no-nonsense private eye Cliff Hardy, portrayed by Brian Brown, to find him. Battered and bruised, Hardy battles through the filth of corruption and the stench of political blackmail. He comes face to face with the crime bosses who feed off human misery and eliminate their rivals without thinking twice. From the high life and low life of Sydney to the seediness and splendor of Bondi Beach, Cliff Hardy uncovers the ultimate truth. So once again, we've got a bit of a neo-noir here, but it's an Australian neo-noir. The movie's fine. They definitely upsell it here with this lavish description. I'll tell you that. It's a fine film. It's entertaining. It's not great. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So that's the one film I got to see from the Ozploitation Rarities Volume 3 set. And The Empty Beach does come with a new commentary with actor Brian Brown. Wow, that's awesome. And with the producer and production designer, moderated by Stephen Vag. New Private Eye in Bondi, an interview with actor Brian Brown. New Winter by the Sea, an interview with actor Anna Maria Monticelli. And then you had, wow. These are all new. All of these, wow. New Dead Quick, a documentary on Arthur Peter Chorus. New Mark Hunter, The Empty Beach music video. New Brian Brown Aussie trailer reel. New theatrical trailer. Holy heck, they really went all out for this release. So I didn't get to see the other ones, Goodbye Paradise or Scobie Malone. Uh, but I'm pretty sure they're probably in the same vein, in the same quality of that. I won't read. They're huge, massive paragraphs of descriptions here for these movies. All I will say is that this also does come in a collector's edition and a standard edition. And the collector's edition kind of has a 48-page book with behind the scenes experiences and art. Rigid case art by France Cantor. Yes. 8 poster cards, two by A3 reversible posters, limited edition, numbered release. I'm not sure what not sure what the number, the limited edition is. But yeah, each movie has new special features, new commentaries, all new stuff. Really cool, really cool. So moving along in the sense of timing, let's see what else we've got here. Um, yeah, The Science of Sleep, the Michel Gondry film. I've been wanting to see this movie for many years. I remember when I first got Netflix back in 2011. The Science of Sleep was on there. And I remember adding it to my watch list and never watching it. And it probably got taken off, so long ago. Because that's the thing with Netflix and streaming is that things come and go. They come and go. Oh, what used to be nice is on Netflix, they used to tell you when things were leaving. Now they don't really do that too often. They used to do that all the time. Maybe they just don't want people to know when things are leaving there. But I remember The Science of Sleep being on there, and I wanted to see it because I've always been a fan of Michel Gondry's work. Oh heck, I've got one of his works right here. I've got uh, probably his most well-known work is The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I've got the Blu-ray here, and I have the DVD inside of it as well. I really need to get the 4K that Kino put out because I really, really need to upgrade this movie because this movie is astonishing. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood. This is probably a modern masterwork. Probably one of the best movies of the last 25 years. I mean, I don't think that's too much of a stretch to say that. Um, yeah, really, really good film. But Michel Gondry is known for doing very visually um, aesthetically unique films. Even before he started doing feature films, he was doing like music videos and things like that, and his videos were always very, very aesthetically unique. And this film, Science of Sleep, definitely utilizes his skill as a visual director. Yeah, The Science of Sleep is a really interesting movie. It's a challenging film, and it's a film that it drifts between reality and surrealism, and you don't quite know what's real and what's not, and it's hard to kind of follow the story. But let me get the synopsis up for it. Where are you? Um, there it is. Found it. Let's see. The Science of Sleep. A man entranced by his dreams and imagination is love struck with a French woman and feels he can show her his world. That's kind of what it's about. It stars Gail Garcia Bernal and Charlotte Gainsbourg, and they're like neighbors in this apartment building, and he's kind of they kind of become friends. It's not quite romantic. It's more friendship than romance, but they kind of drift between those two worlds of romance and friendship, and certain kind of dreams and delusions and things kind of take over the Gail Garcia Bernal's character's mind, and those things, and you see them on screen. You kind of see these apparitions come to life, and it's visually stunning, visually stunning. Um, let's see. This is a much better description here. So, moving to Paris following the death of his father and to be closer to his mother, graphic designer Stéphane Meroux, Gael Garcia Bernal, meets his equally creative neighbor Stephanie, Charlotte Gainsbourg. Behind Stephanie's nervous shyness is a world of imagination and fantasy infused with surrealism, wonder, and strange beauty. But how can he explain this to his neighbor? Yeah, it's an interesting film about internalizing emotions, insecurities, um, bottled emotions, stuff like that. It's a really interesting movie. I don't believe it's gotten a release here yet, at least not on Blu-ray. Yeah, not on Blu-ray, not here in Region A land. I don't even think yeah, that doesn't even have a Blu-ray in the UK either. It's got a release in France. It's got a release, I think, in South Korea. I think that's South Korea, and then it's yeah, and now it's getting a release in Australia with Umbrella. This is an interesting release, something to think about importing. I'm just myself talking out loud, just because I don't know if we're gonna get a release here anytime soon, because it's been on DVD forever. I remember going to used DVD stores, used movie stores, and seeing this always in like the indie section. Like they would have this in there all the time. But this release here is getting a plethora of special features. It's getting a collector's edition that's got a 48-page book. It's got a custom die-cut artwork rigid case, custom artwork slipcase by Clay Mann. I think that's the comic book artist Clay Mann. Disasterology mini calendar, A3 reversible poster, limited edition numbered release. There's an alternate cut of the movie. New audio commentary with author and filmmaker Gregory Ferris. New Dream Spaces artist Andrew Frost on the science of sleep. New Clay Mann making of art featurette. Then you got an audio commentary with director Michelle Gondry, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Sasha Bordeaux, and Gail Garcia Bernal. If You Rescue Me, La Chanson des Chats featurette, Creatures de Rêve featurette, Allo featurette, Petit Cadeau Flippant featurette, Bonpon vs. Gondry featurette. Interesting. I don't have a lot of Michel Gondry's work in my collection. I've got to get more of his stuff. Such a, like I said, visually sumptuous director. But moving on from The Science of Sleep, and these are all coming out in July. I should probably reiterate that. I'm not going to waste my time with this one. So Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. I don't even want to click on this. So many of you probably know this by now, but many of the classic Disney characters are falling into the public domain. Their original kind of entities are falling in the public domain. So Winnie the Pooh, the original Mickey Mouse, and then now Peter Pan is falling into the public domain. So what people are doing, or what this director, this company, what they're doing, they're making really, really bad B-movie horror films, slasher films with these characters, and that's the gimmick. That's the gimmick. And here's the one for Peter Pan. The reason why I'm not wasting time on this is because I saw the first Winnie the Pooh one of this. What was it called? Blood and Honey, and it was so bad that I think it was the worst movie I saw the year it came out. And so I didn't bother seeing the sequel, because they made a sequel to that, and now they're making another one. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing it for whatever other character comes into the public domain too. So that's Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. If you want to check out the movie, check out the movie. I think it's coming out now in somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, so let me move on to Intacto from 2001. Intacto says, this movie has Max von Sydow. Here we go. So this provocative thriller features a powerhouse performance from cinematic legend Max von Sydow and Argentinian star Leonardo Sparaglia. With its striking visual style and pulse-pounding narrative, Intacto will leave you questioning the very nature of fate. When luck runs out, what remains? It says, what if luck could be bought, sold, or stolen? Would you risk it all to become the luckiest person in the world? Intacto is a chilling, mind-bending journey through a shadowy realm where luck is the ultimate commodity and no one escapes unscathed. Your gift is not strong enough. Directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. And yeah, I got to see this movie, and it's an interesting film, and I really want to see it in the better quality than I saw it in, because there's a lot of interesting ideas behind this. And this is part of like the Spanish thrillers, like with Time Crimes and Thesis. I think those two movies are better than this one, although this one's kind of on the same wavelength, and I need to see this again to kind of give it more of its due. I was kind of, I wasn't seeing it in the best quality. I don't even think I was watching it in the right aspect ratio, and that always bothers me. But I need to see this movie again because it's dealing with this idea of luck and what happens if like luck is transferable. Like if you have the ability to basically steal someone's luck, and in this case, um, someone had all of their luck stolen from them, and now he's trying to get revenge on the Max von Sydow character that did it. And he's trying to find like the luckiest person in the world so that he can play Russian roulette with Max von Sydow and win. Like that's kind of the general premise of the movie. Yeah, that's what I got from it. But special features wise, collector's edition, 48-page book. They love that 48 number. New essay by Shelley Rowan Legg. Custom designed rigid case. Custom slip case designed by Chris Malbon, also known as Melbs. That's a cool nickname. A3 reversible poster. Limited edition numbered release. New interview with co-writer Andre M. Kopel by the Projection Booth's Mike White. That's an audio only special feature. The next reel is Andy Nelson and Pete Wright on Intacto. New Episodos short film by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. Archival commentary with the director, making a feature with the director and producer. Another making of from Intacto, and then the making of the effects of featurette. And there's a Max von Sydow trailer reel. That's kind of cool. But yeah, another movie I kind of need to watch. So that's Intacto from 2001. So I want to see that again. So just before we move on from Umbrella, we've got the Michael Haneke collection from 1976, 2012, Ozploitation Rarities Volume 3, Science of Sleep, the 2007 Michel Gondry film, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, if you want to watch that, Intacto from 2001. And these are all coming out in July from Umbrella Entertainment. Now, let's see where we're going to go from here. But before we do that, let's check some comments. Let's see. Acres of Movies asks, what is your favorite Frances McDormand performance? That's really tough because I think she's one of our greatest actresses of all time, or currently. Let's see. To me, okay, this is kind of biased. My introduction to Frances McDormand is her as the mom in Almost Famous. She is the mom who's slowly going crazy and Almost Famous because her son has been kidnapped by rock stars, as what she says in her class that she's teaching in the movie. The reason why I say that is because Frances McDormand in that movie reminds me of my own mother. The way in which she treats, the character in that movie, William. The way in which she treats William, the over obsessive concern, but that's done out of love, and it's done out of a good source. But the overprotective parents can be too much. You know what I mean? They can be so positive that you can end up being negative. And in a way in which that's kind of how she comes off of in that movie, but it's done outside. It's done in the sense of being protective, being loving, being caring, which is better than the opposite. You know what I mean? But I love her in that movie. She's a powerhouse actress. She's really good in so many films that she's been in. Obviously, the big roles that people know her from: Fargo, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. She's really good in Nomadland. She's really good in. I really love the movie Nomadland. I know a lot of people I think have turned negative on that film, but I really still love it. I think Chloe Zhao is a fantastic fantastic director. Sorry, and I think she's one of the best working today, in my opinion. But that's just me. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says, wow, they have a Brian Brown commentary for that one, but they won't try to do one with him for FX. Yeah, I guess all depends on the company. What was it? Yeah, FX was Arrow, wasn't it? I think it was Arrow. Maybe they just didn't want to pay for it. And then Acres of Movies said, should Michelle Gondry make a new version of Something Wicked This Way Comes? I would love that. I would think that'd be cool. Something Wicked This Way Comes hasn't been adapted in decades. That was a book I had to read for summer reading in my sophomore year of high school. I remember that. I think it was it sophomore year of high school or was it middle school? No, I don't remember. All I know is I have the book and I've read it. I've never seen the adaptation of it though. But let's see. Let me get rid of these here. Let's go to. Let's see. Let's go to Imprint really quickly. Yeah, let's go to Imprint. By really quickly, I mean probably going to take our sweet time. But Imprint does have 3 announcements from their Imprint Asia line. Their Imprint Asia line puts out some really cool stuff, and these are some pretty cool movies. So you have The Lost Bladesman from 2011, you have Portrait in Crystal from 1983, and then you've got a box set of 3 movies. You've got the box set is called Shawshock Shaw Brothers Horror Collection Volume 1, 1976 to 1984. So they have 22 of their Imprint Asia releases so far, and I think they've only come up with this last 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So The Lost Bladesman, let's start with that. Why not? Um, yeah, it says iconic martial arts superstar Donnie Yen stars in this historical martial arts epic from the directors of Infernal Affairs. That's a good headline right there because that's the way to get you in. So, ancient China is in turmoil. To unify the country, General Cao Cao, the real power behind the emperor, enlists the aid of the greatest warrior in the land, Guan. But when Guan's loyalty comes into question, he is deemed too great a threat to live and must face the forces sent to destroy him. So this is kind of based on the legendary true story of of these real life people. These people actually did exist. They did exist. Obviously, this is an adaptation. It's literally like almost 2,000 years later after these events occurred. This takes place during the Three Kingdoms era of Chinese history. This is around, like 2nd century AD. We're talking like the 200s here. We're talking like 1800 years ago. It's a while back. It's a while ago, people. So you got to give them a little license, artistic license when it comes to these types of adaptations. So you've got this Chinese folklore story, this Chinese historical story of these 3 warring kingdoms, essentially, and this movie kind of depicts that, but also depicts the interrelationship between some of the main players. You have General Cao Cao, you have General Guan, and yeah, it's a really cool movie, but the one negative thing I have is all of that stuff I just told you. This movie really doesn't explain any of that historical context. So you're kind of dumped into this movie without any of that historical context of who these characters are, and their relationships to one another, and what the political situation that is going on. So you're just kind of watching the movie as an action film, and the action is awesome. I'll say this: the action is pretty damn awesome. I mean, if you want a good kind of cool Asian action film from a modern time, then yeah, I'd say give this a watch. But the story isn't quite there. The sets look amazing. The cinematography is really cool. Like I said, the action choreography is cool. And there's some good acting in here. You got some good acting from some really good Asian actors. Like I said, Donnie Yen is probably a name many people know of. But there's another actor in here who is also really fantastic. Let me see where. Oh, there it is, The Lost Bladesman. I'm looking it up on my letterbox right now. So, yeah, you've got Zhang Wen. Yeah, Zhang Wen, who plays Cao Cao. Coincidentally, both Donnie Yen and Zhang Wen would then be in Rogue Squadron, Rogue One, the Star Wars Rogue One film. They'll both be in that film. And yeah, this movie here is about it's about like loyalty and betrayal and political intrigue and all this and warring factions. If you're into that stuff, which I kind of am. I mean, I'm a history buff, so I love all this stuff. Um, yeah, the story's also a little kind of tough to follow at times too. But yeah, overall decent film. Decent film. That's The Lost Bladesman from 2011. Let me see, when are these coming out? I think these are their May releases. Okay, these are coming out in May. These are coming out in May. May 28th, actually. And let's see, what do we have here for special features? We got a new audio commentary by Asian film experts Mike Leader and George Clark, archival making a featurette. We have the Lost Bladesman Apocalypse with Chip Sow, featurettes, and then we got trailers. 1,500 copies. Not yet. The imprint releases don't have a lot of copies. They're still at like 1,500 copies. That's very little. Very little. So, Portrait in Crystal is an insane movie. This movie is an insane. Yeah. Let's see. Portrait in Crystal, 1983. The master of the modern day crime thriller lends his directing skills to this amazing kung fu crime fantasy. Hua Shan impressed audiences with such films as the Criminals trilogy, then dazzled them in the entirely different way by helming the superheroic Super Inframan and Flying Guillotine 2. He combines those two genres in this adventure of mystical mass murderer loose in the underworld. I can't pronounce these names. PayPal, long the favorite go-to guy for most of Shaw Brothers kung fu filmmaker, shines as the star in this unusual and popular epic. A noble martial artist discovers that a living statue trained in the art of assassination is responsible for a series of killings in the underworld, and that more murderous statues are on their way if he doesn't stop them. So you've got these crystal statues coming to life and murdering people, and this guy's got to stop them. The movie is bloody, it's gooey, it's weird, it's supernatural, it's surreal. It's Shaw Brothers in the 80s were just unhinged, completely and utterly unhinged. So what we got here for special features: audio commentary by critic filmmaker Justin Decloux. We've had Justin Decloux here on Chasing Labels, I believe. And then we have a new special feature by critic James Mudge on Portrait in Crystal. That's it. So that is Portrait in Crystal. That's also coming out May 28th. And then lastly, we've got this box set, which I didn't get to see any of these movies, so I don't have anything really to say about them, other than the fact that there are other like Shaw Brothers weird stuff. We've gotten so much Shaw Brothers over the last 4 years, it's mind-boggling. We've gotten, I think there are 6 volumes of Shaw Brothers films from Shout Factory. We've got 3 volumes, box set volumes from Arrow of Shaw Brothers stuff. We've got I think another 2 box sets from Shout that were like Shaw Brothers stuff as well. We've got individual Shaw Brothers releases from Arrow and Eureka. We've got so much of this, and we've got Golden Harvest stuff too. Man, it's been a lot. So this is also coming out May 28th. This is Shaw Brothers Horror Collection Volume 1. And we've got The Oily Maniac from 1976, The Seeding of a Ghost 1983, and then Sex Beyond the Grave from 1984, which is getting a worldwide first on Blu-ray. These are all coming with new special features. Yeah, they are all coming with special features. The second film, which is Seeding of a Ghost, is the only one that does not have an audio commentary. So, that is it from Imprint Asia. So we've got The Lost Bladesman, Portrait in Crystal, and then we have Shock, Shaw Brothers Horror Collection Volume 1, 76 through 84. And these are all coming out in May 28th. So, that is it for Imprint. And now we've got, I may just do, let's see, let me do some of the individual stuff. Yeah, let me do some of the individual stuff now before we get into the bigger slates, because we still have Eureka, Arrow, Severin, Indicator. Those are the big 4 slates left, but I do have some individual ones here on my notes that I want to get into too. So let's go here. So we've got 2 releases from our friends over at Diabolic DVD. Of course, Diabolic DVD, our friend over there, Jesse Nelson, I believe. Yeah, he's the one who runs Diabolic. He, of course, has his own label, Cauldron Films, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And Cauldron Films um, is putting out a new release called Ricco, the Mean Machine, or it's literally just called Ricco, or it's just called the Mean Machine. But it's an interesting movie. As a movie, actually, I really liked. It's called. Let me get the description here. Is Ricco Aversi emerges from a short prison sentence to find that Donavito, the ruthless smuggler who murdered his father, has also stolen his girlfriend with the help of the ravishing petty thief Scylla. Who he makes his way through the dastardly cast of characters who betrayed him in a legendary fury of blood-drenched vengeance. That all sounds cool, and it is. But the actor who plays Ricco is Chris Mitchum, and he just does not give off that sense of badass coolness and machismo and masculinity and awesomeness that you really need to fulfill that description. He doesn't quite give that off in this movie. Um, he's a very handsome, like blonde haired, like looks like a kid actually. By a kid, I mean like somebody in his 20s. Like I don't know how long of a prison sentence he uh served. This is short term. It must be. I mean, and I think he went to prison for like attempted murder. So I don't know what the prison sentence was, but he still looks really, really young when he gets out, and he looks like a young rookie kid who's now. Initially, he doesn't want to get any vengeance. Like he just wants to move on with his life. But then his mother basically guilt trips him into doing it to try to avenge his father, essentially. So he ends up going down that trail. Of course, going down that trail, you know, can lead to a lot of complications. But I dug the movie. It's got a cool like 70s vibe to it, like gritty vibe to it. Um, I liked it. And, Cauldron Films also does really good work. I don't have any Cauldron Film stuff. I got to get some of their work. Uh, there's so many labels nowadays. I always forget that there's some I've been wanting to get but don't have yet. So there's a 4K scan of the negative. And then you've got some extras here. Melissa of the Mob interview with actress Melissa Longo, a Ombre and a Cult interview with actor Antonio Mayans. Cauldron of Ricco is a video essay by Italian genre film historian Eugenio Mercolani. Archival interview with Christopher Mitchum. And then there's a trailer. The slipcover is for the limited edition only. There's a full color booklet with liner notes by Eurocrime director and tough guy film expert Mike Malloy. That's a limited edition only, and this whole thing is limited to 2,000 copies. This is it is up for pre-order now, and it's coming out in June. Yeah, and that is what Cauldron Films is putting out. Then we go over to another label that they have here, Neon Eagle. Our friend Jared Honor, who's been on Chasing Labels. Jared Honor, he works at Mondo Macabro, but he also has his own label over at Diabolic, called Neon Eagle. And every once in a while, he comes out with their release through Neon Eagle. And this is the Great Chase. I wanted to watch this movie, and I could not find it anywhere. It is not streaming. You can't rent it. You can't find it. Yeah, I could not find this movie, and I wanted to watch it. I knew kind of what it was going to be. It's an exploitation film from the 70s. But I wanted to check it out. I like our buddy Jared Honor. When he had him on here, he's a really cool dude, really good dude too. And, he does a lot of passion, a lot of great work too. So, directed with exuberance by exploitation expert Norifumi Suzuki, The Great Chase is an action-packed, consistently surprising, pinky violence light adventure caper filled with fights and explosions with just a hint of sleaze to sweeten the deal. It's also chock full of oddball details that will keep you on your toes the entire 83-minute running time. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what pink films are, or pinky films, or pinku films are. When I talk about, I'm probably going to talk about right after this, is that Deaf Crocodile is putting out one of these types of movies too. It's a Japanese subgenre of film. So I'll talk about that when I talk about that film. But you've got, let's see, the Sister Street Fighter herself, Atsuko Shihomi, stars as Shinobu Yashiro. An acclaimed race car driver who has a side hustle working undercover for the Japanese Defense Agency. Her latest assignment is to break up a heroin smuggling operation that may also be behind the murder of her father. Uh, there you go. So she's a race car driver, but she also works undercover for like the Japanese Defense Agency, and now she's got to perhaps get revenge for her father. That's what it sounds like, because of her father. For her father, because of her father. Yeah, I guess it kind of works the same way. Directed with exuberance by exploitation expert. Yeah, this is exactly the same thing I just read. Never mind. So yeah, that's Neon Eagle is delighted to bring you this amazing mid-70s action spectacle for the first time ever in the US, for the first time ever in the world on Blu-ray. This one has been unknown to most people for far too long. I'd never heard of it until now, as many of their releases are. So we've got 2K restoration, audio commentary by Chris Paggiali and John Charles, interview with critic / historian Tatsuya Masuto, full color booklet with liner notes by Nathan Stewart, slipcover with new artwork by Justin Coffey, limited edition only, reversible cover with original Japanese artwork. That's cool. Yeah, movie came out in 1975. Can't get more mid 1970s than that. And this is coming out in June as well. So that is The Great Chase, a 1975 Japanese exploitation film. Cool. So next, I do have to actually look these up. I want to talk about 2 Deaf Crocodile releases. Let me see if I can go to their Facebook page, see if they've got info on there. If not, I'll have to go track it down other places. Let's see. Here's the first one. Yeah, I do have to go to their website. Hold on. I'll talk about this one first. I actually don't even think it's up here. Hold on. I've got to try. This is what I should have done this before the show. Oh, no, there it is. Thank goodness. Okay, so Inflatable Sex Doll of the Wastelands. Or I think it's also called like there's some other types of versions of this too. Let's see. It's called Dutch. Let me look it up on IMDb right now. Yeah, it's called So Inflatable Sex Dolls of the Wasteland is also called Dutch Wife in the Desert. You choose which is the better title. I know which one I like most. It's definitely not Dutch Wife in the Desert. But this movie is a pink film. So Inflatable Sex Doll of the Wastelands. Oh boy, this is a lot to go over here. So I'm just quickly scanning this. Let me go over to my Letterboxd and look it up there because it has a much more concise synopsis as opposed to the one that's on the Deaf Crocodile website, which is where? Hold on. Yeah, now I know where it is. Hold on. I'm all over myself today. Yeah, let me look it up there because the synopsis on the website is not really a synopsis. It's more involved. Let's say so. A wealthy real estate investor is forced to watch the assault of his girlfriend and then is sent a film showing the fact. He hires a hitman who shows him the film so that the detective can get rid of the criminals. But the boss of the criminals band is Show's arch nemesis, who attacked and murdered his girlfriend. So what we've got here is a movie with like kind of a double revenge plot with a bit of a twist in there. And there's some surrealism going on in here. There's some stylization going on in the movie. And the movie is kind of all over the place intentionally. This is where the description on the website kind of comes into play. So there is definite um influences, or not even influences, it's just the style of films like Seijun Suzuki's Branded to Kill or Tokyo Drifter. These movies were made at the same time. They were made during the Japanese New Wave of the 1960s. So they have that sense of style where they're breaking the norms and they're breaking the traditions of cinema. They're of how to structure movies, how to pace movies, how to tell stories, how to lay out plots. They're breaking all of those rules and kind of doing their own thing. And this movie is very much like that. This movie is introducing elements of surrealism into Japanese cinema. And with those elements of surrealism, um, it's doing brand new things that weren't done before, yeah, in Japanese cinema at that time, including this idea of pink films. This idea, basically, when you hear that term, think sexually explicit, think erotic thriller, think pushing the envelope in terms of what you can show on screen in terms of sexual elements. I'm talking about not only, content, but violence as well in a sexual way. Those elements are put into this movie and other movies of its kind. And for the 1960s to do that is pretty bold. Is pretty bold, and this movie definitely shows that. And it's very uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It's very uncomfortable, and it's shot in black and white and in close up and very intimate and very, um, just genuine humanistically horrifying. I can say that. That's an accurate description. And yeah, the movie is incredibly stylized. It's fascinating to watch this movie and just to see kind of this filmmaker experimenting on at this moment. It's directed by Atsushi Yamatoya. Yeah, Atsushi Yamatoya. And I think Atsushi Yamatoya had worked with Seijun Suzuki. Yeah, he co-wrote Branded to Kill. He co-wrote Branded to Kill. And hence why it's such a strong connection to that movie. And yeah, it's a fascinating movie. Yeah, it says here, inflatable sex doll is comparable to similar movies by American erotic auteurs like Russ Meyer. Yeah, I mean, it is that bold. It is that bold in terms of what it's depicting on screen and the areas in which it's wanted to go in, specifically, like I said, in a sexual way. And the movie's dealing with a lot of other stuff too, uh, but a really fascinating release. I really want this in my collection. Actually, there is a deluxe limited edition that's only 1,500 units available, and I think I don't know when this is coming out. Let me see. It says shipping in late April. Okay, so shipping in late April. We do have some special features here as well for Inflatable Sex Dolls of the Wastelands. Great title, by the way. New commentary by film historians Arn Venema and Mike Leader. New video interview with film professor Alexander Zalton on the pink film subgenre in Japanese cinema. New video essay by journalist and physical media expert Ryan Verrill, our buddy Ryan Verrill over at The Disconnected, and film professor Dr. Will Dotson. Blu-ray authoring by David McKenzie of Fidelity in Motion. Another connection here for Chasing Labels. We've interviewed David McKenzie as well as his brother. And then there's a new reversible wrap art by Beth Morris. So the deluxe edition bonus content slipcase featuring new illustration by Tony Stella. Tony Stella we've had here before. This is Chasing Labels hit parade over here. We've got everybody. Oh, look at this new essay by film historian Alexandra Helen Nicholas. These is all people we know and all people that have been here and have talked with us here on Chasing Labels. And I can say firsthand, they all do great work, because just talking with them and getting to know them and getting to know their passion for movies and what their mindset is when it comes to movies, you're in good hands. You're in really good hands. Every time you see these names, you're in really good hands. You have a new essay by film critic Walter Chaw as well. New essay by Japanese film expert and musician Chris D. Interview conducted with producer Kiko Sato of Koki Films, conducted by producer Hiromi Ahiri of Belize. Yeah, this looks like a really nice release. Deaf Crocodile does really good stuff, and yeah, they've been doing really good work for years. Unfortunately for me, I only have, I think I only have two of their earlier releases. I'm so far behind in their stuff. I got Zero Grad, and I've got the Assassin of the Czar, and these were two releases that they released when they were a partner label at OCN over on the Vinegar Syndrome website, and they haven't been there in like a year. So they've been on their own, and they've been partnering up with Diabolic DVD as well as their own website. You can buy their stuff on Diabolic DVD, or you can go to Deaf Crocodile. Let's see, is it deafcrocodile.com? Let's see. Yeah, it's deafcrocodile.com. Hold on. Let me go. Actually, I can't go back to their main page. Hold on. But just look up Deaf Crocodile. You'll get to their website. Let's see. Yeah. Yep, deafcrocodile.com. I was right. Yeah. You can go there, go to their shop, get their titles. Um, all really, really good stuff. Really good films. Films I have never heard of. They never released something that I've heard of before, which is really cool. That's the cool part of the boutique label world. You end up discovering so much more of cinema that you never knew existed. And then their other release that I want to talk about is, let me see if I can go find it. Oh, here it is, Mutant Aliens, which is getting a limited edition release as well. This is a Bill Plimpton animated film. If you've ever seen any of Bill Plimpton's work that they've put out, or just in general, like they released a Blu-ray of his movie The Toon. Madness, utter chaotic, unhinged, weird madness, and it's kind of brilliant. It's kind of brilliant. So, Mutant Aliens from 2001. It's 81 minutes long, so super short stuff. But you got to be of a certain mind to understand his work, or to get through his work, because it's another one of those. This is adult animation. This is stuff like Ralph Bakshi would do back in the day. You know what I mean? Think of like things like Fritz the Cat and stuff like that. That's kind of Bill Plimpton's work, even more unhinged, even more unhinged. So, an unlikely crew, an astronomer, his intrepid daughter, and a quintet of sympathetic, albeit violent alien creatures seek revenge against a space industry baron. And you can actually find this streaming on YouTube right now if you want to, but I would suggest buying the physical release. I would really suggest buying the physical release. Um, but this movie is wildly crazy. Like I don't know what, not that I don't know what's going on in it. You can follow along with it, but it's just so unhinged from one second to the next. Um, and it's all done in some incredible animation style. It's crude animation, but it's brilliant animation. I love it. It's a piece of art. It's artwork. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got here for special features. So, yeah, and the premise of the movie is that this. Before we get into special features, premise of the movie is that this astronaut is sent out into space, and he's kind of gets lost out there. But then he returns some years later, and he's left a very young daughter behind by the name of Josie, and she is now working, I think, with like the space program. You can assume it's NASA. Why not? And she's working with them now, and she sees her father coming back. But when he arrives back, he's not alone. He's brought aliens with him, and he concocts this story about them, but it's not the real story. And um, yeah, basically chaos ensues. He wants to get revenge because he believes that um, the person running this space program basically left him out there to die. That's the premise of the movie. But special features time. Two classic Plimpton shorts, Hot Dog from 2008, The Cow Who Wants to Be a Hamburger. You can already see how weird this gets. New video interview with Bill Plimpton about the making of Mutant Aliens, moderated by Dennis Bartok of Deaf Crocodile. New commentary track by animation producer and podcaster Adam Rakoff, podcaster and film critic James Hancock, and longtime Plimpton collaborator John Halderade of Plimpton Studios. New artwork by Beth Morris. Blu-ray authoring by David Mackenzie from Fidelity in Motion. So James Hancock, I've been following James Hancock on YouTube for years. That's kind of cool. So Slipcase featuring new wraparound artwork by Bill Plimpton. 60-page illustrated book. There's an introduction by Weird Al Yankovic. That's awesome. Essay by film critic Walter Chaw. Essay by screenwriter, playwright, and film journalist Stephen Perrose. Deluxe edition is limited to only 1,250 copies, and that is Mutant Aliens, the Bill Plimpton animated film from 2001. And I think this is also shipping in late April. So shipping in late April, so about a month from now. Yeah, that's Deaf Crocodile. I always try to plug them whenever I see information of theirs around. Luckily, our good friend Ryan Verrill over at the Disconnected, he has a nice relationship with them, so he's always, posting about when their releases are upcoming, so that I can then relay that information to you guys at home. But those are the individual releases. Now we'll get back to the major slates. Let's check some comments before we do so. Let's see. Acres the Movie says, also regarding Rossum's Universal Robots, the new Alex Proyas sci-fi epic, do you know anything about that? I don't. I didn't know Alex Proyas was working on something. I do know that last year they came out with the 4K UHD edition of Alex Proyas' film The Crow, which is probably his most famous, well-known film. Obviously, this year we're getting a 4K UHD of Dark City, which I'm going to talk about soon. So that's interesting. We got a release of his movies last year and a re-release of his movie this year as well. Interesting. I know that Alex Proyas' what was it, Gods of Egypt? His last film wasn't very good. I saw it. It's not very good. Acres of Movie says, if Frances McDormand could replace Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode going forward, I would prefer that. Then get Ray Winstone for Loomis. They're rebooting Halloween again. So who knows what they're going to do? They could very well give us a brand new Laurie Strode. Whether it's going to be a new young actress as Laurie Strode or an older actress as Laurie Strode or both. Maybe they'll do jumping back and forth. I don't know. But they are relaunching the Halloween franchise once again, which is baffling to me because there's so many timelines in there now. There's the original one, where you got like Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you've got the H2O storyline where Jamie Lee Curtis came back, and then you've got the Rob Zombie Halloween films, and then you've got the David Gordon Green Halloween timeline, which goes from the first movie to his Halloween movie, then Halloween, then his Halloween trilogy. So, and now we're going to be doing another one. Talk about a franchise that's got so many different versions. My goodness. Acres of Movie says, rest in peace, Richard Norton, Mr. Nice Guy, and China O'Brien. Yes. Also, Richard Chamberlain passed away too. Rest in peace, Richard Chamberlain as well. And then Acres of Movie says, witness great supporting cast. Do you think the movie would have been good with William Hurt or Kevin Costner? Perhaps someone else in the Harrison Ford role if Harrison Ford said no to the role. To be honest, I really like Harrison Ford in that movie. It's the only time he's been nominated for an Oscar. So obviously he was good in it. You know what I mean? Of that time, I think Kevin Costner was just starting to arrive. This was right before. Now, yeah, was Bull Durham around that time? Or was that? I think that was even before Bull Durham. And of course, the late 80s, you would see him in like JFK, Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood. Waterworld would be the 90s. So I don't know. I think Harrison Ford was kind of the right guy at the right time for that role, considering where he was in his career at that time. Let's see here. So we are going to go back to the slates. Let's go to let's see. Did I bring it up? Oh, yes, I did. Let's go to Indicator. So Indicator, we've got 4 releases here. Yes, 4. We've got Carnal Knowledge, A Day at the Beach, The Gentle Gunman, and then The Ship That Died of Shame. So the big headliner the one we're all here for, the one that everybody needs to set off alarm bells in their head for, is Carnal Knowledge is finally coming out in HD. Just so I don't look like a complete and utter buffoon, Carnal Knowledge has not gotten. That's not how you spell knowledge. Carnal Knowledge has not gotten an HD release before. Okay, it has. So I do look like a buffoon. Looks like Carnal Knowledge got a. Yeah, Carnal Knowledge got a release in Germany. It's gotten a release in France. It's gotten a release in, I think that's Italy, Spain. Okay, so it's never gotten a release in the UK or Region A. Technically, it's still not a Region A release. Technically, the 4K is a region-free release, so I count it. I count it as a win. It's a win, people. Carnal Knowledge is the Mike Nichols film from back in the day. Back in the day, I should be way more professional with this. Let's see. Go back to the website. Yeah, Carnal Knowledge is the movie directed by Mike Nichols from 1971, starring Jack Nicholson, Candice Bergen, and Margaret. I haven't seen this movie in years, but I've had the DVD in my collection for like 15 years. I've had it for a long time. Let's see. This is the description here. So, during their time in college, roommates Sandy and Jonathan revealed their innermost feelings about girls and sex to one another, each taking his own approach to getting what he wants. As they grow older and establish new relationships, they continue to share their fantasies and frustrations about the opposite sex, each responding differently to the mixture of desire, disdain, and disinterest they experience. No perfect dialogue from the pen of the great Jules Fefer, and exquisite photography by legendary Italian cinematographer Giuseppe Rotuno, who did Fellini's Satyricon, combined with universally outstanding performances, including from its supporting players Rita Moreno and Carol Kane, legend, to create an unflinching and uncompromising classic of the new Hollywood era. Yes, this was during what is one of my favorite eras of cinema ever, and I think probably the most important in American cinema history. I think one of the most important in cinema history in general going forward from that time is the new Hollywood era, where you had Mike Nichols being one of those many legendary film directors of that time. Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. You also had Francis Ford Coppola, William Friedkin, so many others during that era. Like Hal Ashby being another one that comes to mind. But this movie's been a long time coming. I've been wanting a release like this forever. Forever. I saw this and I almost cried. I was like, finally, my old used DVD that had been sitting on my shelf in my Mike Nichols section, can go the way of the dodo. I can retire it. It can go away. So thank goodness for that. But let's get into some of these special features here. Definitive 4K HDR restoration. Obviously 4K presentation on Dolby Vision. Original mono audio commentary with writer and film scholar Justin Bozung, Mike Nichols and Jason Reitman in conversation, 2011 archival video recording of the two filmmakers on stage at the Walter Reed Theater in New York following a screening of Carnal Knowledge. Cruel Masters, 2025 actor, comedian, and filmmaker Richard Ayoade provides an in-depth appreciation of the film and its director. And the original theatrical trailer, radio spot, image gallery. Let's see, limited edition exclusive booklet with a new essay by Brad Stevens, an archival interview with director Mike Nichols, writer Jules Fefer, and actor Jack Nicholson, a contemporary location report originally published in American Cinematographer. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I'm not going to go through all that, but as many of us know, Mike Nichols did pass away several years ago, so we can't obviously get anything from him. It's nice to have this, at least some of this archival stuff being unearthed here. Like I said, this is going to be one of my releases of the year in terms of just importance for me. You know what I mean? Like priority wise. I gotta get this when it comes out. Speaking of which, It comes out. Um, when is it? When are you coming out? This comes out June 23rd. June 23rd. So that is Carnal Knowledge, the Mike Nichols film. It's getting a 4K UHD release as well as a Blu-ray release. The Blu-ray is region B locked. Yes, it's region B locked, but the 4K is of course region free. That's important to know. A Day at the Beach is getting a Blu-ray release in the UK as well as in the US. And A Day at the Beach is a Simon Hesera film from 1970. Let's see. So this movie it's written by Roman Polanski, and I think I just wanted to make sure people are aware of that. I think it's also kind of directed by him, or he was working on the movie. Um, and then he had to leave the production of the movie because of the tragic things that happened during that time. Yeah, so let me look up the IMDb about this. So yeah, it's called A Day at the Beach. And it's actually rather good. It's a really good film, to be honest. So let's see the trivia here. Yeah, it says Roman Polanski was present during the entire filming of A Day at the Beach. He was editing the picture and shooting inserts with the director Simon Hesera when news of his wife's, the events occurred in California. He left. He obviously left the production, and the film was hastily finished without him, put on the shelf, and has only recently been rediscovered. By recently been discovered, I mean it was basically on the shelf for like 20 years. Um, and I think it was finally released in like 1992. Um, so interesting kind of back trivia of that. Um, so let's see. Let me get into what this movie is actually about, so that people can get a sense of what it is before they decide to buy it or not. So, Bernie is a silver-tongued wanderer with a fondness for drink and no clear goal in life. What was supposed to be a day of fun at the seaside turns to dust as he drinks his way through a seaside resort community, trailing his little niece, Winnie. So, what you got here is a movie about a guy who is an alcoholic. He's got chronic alcoholism, and he is taking this little girl out like a day at the beach, and it's the exact opposite type of day that you would want to go to the beach in. It's raining, it's cold, it's damp, it's cloudy, it's just miserable outside, but he still decides to take this little girl to the beach. And the kind, they're not really related, and he may or may not be her actual father, but she just refers to him as her uncle, essentially, right? So he takes her out, and throughout the day, he finds different types of ways for him to procure alcohol. He doesn't have a lot of money, so he kind of like swindles people out of money. He, steals alcohol. He, does all kinds of nefarious things, and he's neglectful of this little girl. She's a very tiny, like elementary school aged little girl. I have maybe even younger, and you just kind of see this guy just be an incredible screw up of an adult who shouldn't have responsibility for anything in life. Even himself, he can't be responsible for. And you just see a series of misfortunate events keep occurring during this day. And that's the movie. It is kind of a meditation, and it's kind of a look at, the disease, the chronic alcoholism disease that still persists throughout our society, all the way up through modern day. And you may know people in your family or people who are close to you that have this disease, or have struggled with this disease. And what this movie does show, and what you can glean from a modern lens, is that It's something that no matter the generation, people have had to deal with, and the negative consequences that it not only has on your life, but on the people around you, specifically when it comes to parental responsibilities of any kind, whether you are an uncle, a caretaker, a guardian, and a parent of some kind, whatever. You can see how negative that those things affect the people around you. And it's really, unfortunate, some of the things that happen in this movie. But that is the movie. Let's see what we've got here in terms of special features. Let's see. New restoration with 4K scan of the original negative by Powerhouse Films. Two presentations of the film, the original cut and then which is newly restored 82 minutes, and the extended version presented from a standard definition master that's 84 minutes long, so 2 minutes longer. Original mono audio, Dancing Before the Enemy, How a Teenage Boy Fooled the Nazis and Lived. A feature-length documentary on producer Gene Kotowski's, directed by his son Adam Bardock, in which he vividly recalls his experience as a Jewish teenager in Poland during World War II. Interesting. Behind the Camera, Gil Taylor from 1993, archival documentary by Richard Blanchard on the great cinematographer, featuring interviews with Taylor Polanski and filmmaker Anthony Minghella. Wow. So Anthony Minghella directed The English Patient. He also directed The Talented Mr. Ripley, and he also directed Cold Mountain. Those are the three films that I'm pretty sure he got to direct, and unfortunately he passed away many years ago, actually, at this point. I remember recently the actor, oh my goodness, he was in Cold Mountain. Why? Jude Law. Jude Law. I was like, the really handsome actor, Jude Law, was in the Criterion Closet, and he mentioned Anthony Minghella, and he mentioned them working on The Talented Mr. Ripley. I believe he directed. Let me see, just so I'm not completely talking out of turn. Yeah, the 1999 adaptation of The Talented Mr. Ripley was Anthony Minghella. I recently actually read last year the Patricia Highsmith novel, The Talented Mr. Ripley. And just for comparison, just out of, because I wanted to watch the Netflix series, actually the Netflix miniseries. And yeah, the adaptations are rather different than the book, rather different. But let's see, what else we've got here. Let's move down the list from, yeah, and then a day at the beach is region free, so you can get the UK version or the US version, so you're good in that regard. And when is this coming out? Let's see, 24th of June. All right, so now we've got The Gentle Gunman. Gentle Gunman, I think, is only being available in the US. It's a US only release. So you can get the 4K release, which is, of course, region free, and you can get a Blu-ray release, which is region A. Only region A. So it's only going to be able to be sold at Orbit DVD, at Diabolic DVD, and of course, Amazon will have it too. So The Gentle Gunman is a Basil Dearden film. Basil Dearden was an English filmmaker. I remember seeing his name pop up in my early days of Criterion collecting with, I think it was like there was an Eclipse set of Basil Dearden films called like Basil Dearden Underground Films or something like that. Really cool. So it says here, John Mills and Dirk Bogarde star in The Gentleman Gunman, a riveting wartime thriller directed by Ealing Studios regular Basil Dearden. Brothers Terry and Matt are undercover soldiers involved in a bombing campaign during the London Blitz. When Terry begins to question his part in the violence, Matt warns him to go into hiding. However, determined to clear his name, Terry vows to play his part in freeing a group of IRA members who have been captured by the British police. So this is a movie depicting IRA activities, the Irish Republican Army activities during World War II in England and Ireland. And one of the brothers, I believe the Dirk Bogarde brother, let's see. Yeah, no, the other one, John Mills. I think I forgot which brother. I'm sorry, my mind is getting really tired. Basically, one of the brothers kind of gets disillusioned with the violence of the IRA and basically it doesn't want anything to do with it anymore, while the other brother stays in and tries to basically like rescue these IRA members who are being, I think, transported to a prison or from a prison. Let's see, where are you? Nope. I am. Where are you? I know. I watched it. uh, trying to find it on my letterbox, and I'm failing immensely. Ah, there it is. I went past it like 5 times. That just shows you how tired I'm getting. 2 hours into the podcast. So yeah, so then that's the genuine premise of the movie. Um, and of course, when you're dealing with the type of activity that the IRA are into, things get increasingly dangerous. So for special features, we've got a 4K HDR restoration, UHD presentation in Dolby Vision, Battle for the Soul. Director and screenwriter James Dearden introduced his father's work. That's really cool. Guardian interview with Dirk Bogarde from 1983. A closer look at The Gentle Gunman from 2022. Broadcaster Matthew Sweet and film critic Fuang Li discussed the film's production and themes. All Hands, a short film produced by Ealing Studios for the Careless Talks Cost Lives campaign starring John Mills. It's from 1940. Wow. And then you have an image gallery and then a booklet as well. Uh, yeah, world premiere on 4K. And like I said, there's also a Blu-ray as well. And this is the US only release. And then we've got The Ship That Died of Shame. I think this is a US release, only release as well. It is. So you can only find it at Orbit DVD, Diabolic, and Amazon. And let's see, this movie, at the end of World War II, 3 crew members of His Majesty's gunboat 1087, which is, this movie stars George Baker, Richard Attenborough, and Bill Owen. So Bill, George, and Bertie are brought together again through circumstance and start a business refitting their trusty wartime ship to make regular channel crossings. Before long, however, Bill learns that the ruthless George has been getting them involved in more and more depraved activities and is repulsed. But it's the 1087 who refuse to accept her part in the gang's amoral ventures. So basically what happens is you've got these 3 guys who served in World War II together in the Navy, and they decide to start a business together after the war is over. Several years after the war is over, they decide to get in business together, and things are going well. They're transporting goods and stuff. It's a shipping company, right? But one of them starts a side hustle. You know what I mean? A side business where he is transporting and doing things that are illegal, and the other guys kind of get wind of this, and they're not too happy about it. There you go. I guess don't get in business with friends. I don't know what the moral of that tale is. So there you go. So that is the movie, The Ship That Died of Shame. 4K presentation, 4K restoration, 4K presentation in Dolby Vision, of course. 2 presentations of the film in its original 1:37:1 shooting ratio and the matted to 1:66:1. So 2 different aspect ratios there. You have the original mono audio. Coming to terms, director and screenwriter James Dearden introduced his father's work. This is another Basil Dearden film. Should have mentioned that. So we've got Double Dearden. It's a Double Dearden featurette we've got here. Double Dearden feature, I should say. The BEHP interview with Richard Attenborough from 2001. Archival video recording made as part of the British Entertainment History Project, featuring the much-loved actor and director in conversation with Sidney Samuelson. An Uneasy Alliance, author and film historian Neil Sinyard delves into the world of Ealing Studios and explores the themes and reception of The Ship That Died of Shame. Now You're Talking, 1940 short film produced by the Ealing Studios for the Careless Talk Cost Lives campaign, co-written by Basil Dearden. And then, of course, you've got a limited edition booklet here with essays and such. World premiere on 4K, limited to 5,000. I think the other one was limited to 5,000 as well. There you go. The Ship That Died of Shame. And this is coming out June 24th. All right, so that has been four releases from our friends over at Indicator. We of course had the 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 guys over at Indicator. We've had them on Chasing Labels twice now, Sam and John, and they do great work and continue to do great work. And this is a good release slate. Carnal Knowledge, definitely the highlight. Got to get that. A Day at the Beach. You've got The Gentle Gunman, and you've got The Ship That Died of Shame, all coming out this June. So that is it from Indicator. Now let's go over to Severin. Why not? It's literally the next tab over for me because we've got a couple things here from Severin. So we've got, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4 releases. So we've got 2 Doctor Who films. So if you are a fan of Doctor Who, this is stuff for you. Like how I rhyme there. So we've got a Blu-ray and 4K release of Doctor Who and the Daleks, and we've got a Blu-ray and 4K release of Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, which is kind of a pseudo sequel to the other film, Doctor Who and the Daleks. It's a sequel because we've got the same actor playing Doctor Who in those 2 films, and that would be the great Peter Cushing. So Peter Cushing is playing Doctor Who in these 2, feature film versions of the character and his stories. I will say though, it doesn't quite feel like Doctor Who. Well, okay, let me say this. Modern day Doctor Who, the 2005 series that is still going on now, that we've gotten with like Christopher Eccleston, as well as Matt Smith, as well as, oh goodness, we've gotten so many actors, and Jodie Whittaker at this point. We've gotten, anywho, all the actors, but that the modern day series is nothing like the series from the 60s. And they're very, very different in terms of tone, in terms of storytelling, in terms of all that, which is you expect it to be. I mean, that's just the way entertainment is, whether it's TV, movies, music, art of any kind. Stuff from decades ago isn't the way isn't the way they are now, and vice versa. So Doctor Who and the Daleks, starring Peter Cushing, came out, I believe, in 1965, and we've got an interesting interpretation of the character. So let me get the synopsis up from Letterboxd. Let's see. Scientist Doctor Who accidentally activates his new invention, the TARDIS, a time machine disguised as a police telephone box. Who his 2 granddaughters, Barbara and Susan, and Barbara's boyfriend, Ian, are transported through time and space to the planet Skaro, where a peaceful race of Vals are under threat of nuclear attack from the planet's other inhabitants, the robotic mutant Daleks. There you go. So it's the classic Doctor Who tale here of, good versus bad, having to save the day, and being transported through time and space to a different planet with different alien type creatures. It's all that kind of stuff you're used to, but obviously it's quite dated because it's the 1960s. You know what I'm saying? And Peter Cushing's Doctor Who is more of like a mad scientist than he is like a kind of like a madcap like creature or whatever. Not creature, but an like a Time Lord or something like that. So it's rather different, but it's fine. It's fine. It's entertaining if you like kind of 1960s British TV sci-fi. I guess it works. And then of course you've got the kind of sequel, which came out. Let's see. I think it come out in 1966. Let me see. Yeah, it came out in 1966 on the heels of the first film, where you have Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. So Doctor Who and his companions are hurled into the future and make a horrifying discovery. The Daleks have conquered Earth. The Metal Fiends have devastated entire continents and turned the survivors into Robo-Men. So this actually feels a lot more like a modern type of Doctor Who story. The first one felt like I was watching an episode of Star Trek on the big screen, and the second one feels a lot more involved and a lot more Doctor Who-ish, I guess. But yeah, they're both fine to me. I mean, if you're a big Doctor Who fan, yeah, you're gonna dig them. And if you want to be a Doctor Who completist, sure, why not? Um, and if you're a big fan of Peter Cushing, sure, why not? I've always loved seeing Peter Cushing do his stuff. So getting into special features here for Doctor Who and the Daleks. On the 4K UHD version, you've got the 4K UHD disc that has an audio commentary with Whovians Barry Forshaw, Stephen Jones, and Kim Newman. The audio commentary with stars Jenny Linden and Roberta Tovey, moderated by journalist Jonathan Southcott. Audio commentary with critic Kim Newman, screenwriter slash writer Robert Sherman, and actor slash writer Mark Gatiss. And then the second disc, you've got those three commentaries, plus you've got a 1992 audio interview with director Gordon Fleming by author and journalist Tony Earnshaw. Sabatsky and the Daleks, Part 1, interview with producer Milton Sabatsky. Kara and the Daleks, interview with Doctor Who expert Kara Dennison. Dalek Mania, 1995 documentary that runs an hour long. Interview with Gareth Owen, author of Shepperton's Story, The Dalek Legacy, Destination Skaro, with Nicholas Briggs, the voice of the Daleks, and a bunch of other people. This is rather involved here. So as you can see here, lots of love, lots of expert input from a lot of Whovian experts here. Doctor Who has been a beloved thing since the 60s. It's a phenomena that's gone on throughout the ages now. And then we've got, let's see, the special features for Daleks Invasion Earth 2150. So you've got an audio commentary with Whovians Barry Forshaw, Stephen Jones, and Kim Newman. Audio commentary with critic Kim Newman, screenwriter Robert Sherman, and actor Mark Gatiss. That's on the 4K disc, same as before. Same two commentaries. You got same two commentaries on the Blu-ray disc. Daleks Invasion BBC 63 to 69. Interview with Doctor Who expert Stephen Thrower, Sabatsky, and the Daleks Part 2. Interview with producer Milton Sabatsky. So I guess you gotta get to get both Part 1 and Part 2. You gotta get both releases. I like what you're doing there, Severin. Nicely done. Interview with Gareth Owen, author of Shepperton's Story. Interview with actor Bernard Cribbins. The Dalek Legacy Invasion Earth, with a bunch of people restoring Doctor Who in 4K, restoration expert Anthony Badger, film prep and scanning expert Ray King, and colorist Steve Behrman. I kind of am really fascinated with that because this is stuff from the mid 60s, you know what I mean? What's interesting is that a lot of the early Doctor Who episodes are lost, actually, just because simply none of the stuff was saved from when they were made. Because at the time, I mean, television was so, use it and lose it. You know what I mean? But once we get what we need out of it, when we don't need it anymore, just get rid of it. Or at the time, not tape over it, but reuse what we've already been using, something like that. And a lot of the early Doctor Who episodes from that time period are gone and lost. All we really have now is like animatics and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the two Doctor Who films. Now you can get these individually, or Severin is offering the Total Extermination, the Peter Cushing Doctor Who collection. You can buy that on Blu-ray, or you can buy that in 4K. Obviously, the prices will be different. It comes with a limited edition slipcase, and I'm pretty sure it just has it just has those two releases in a slipcase. Or you can just buy the slipcase by itself if you want to. Interesting. So another 4K UHD release that Severin is putting out is Jack the Ripper, 2-disc 4K UHD with limited edition slipcover. And the first disc is the 4K UHD disc. We have an audio commentary with co-director, co-producer, co-cinematographer Robert S. Baker, screenwriter Jimmy Sangster, and assistant director Pete Manley, moderated by British horror historian Marcus Hearn. The second disc, that same commentary. The Real Jack the Ripper, the interview with Dennis Meikle, author of Jack the Ripper, The Murders in the Movies. There's been so many Jack the Ripper stories that have been turned into movies and TV shows and documentaries, all kinds of stuff, books, everything. So Gentleman Jack, The Whitechapel Murders Revisited. Choice cuts, The Two Faces of Jack the Ripper, interview with Alan Petit. Those are the special features, but this movie Um, let me get the synopsis. Here we go. For Jack the Ripper from 1959. A serial killer is murdering women in Whitechapel district of London. An American policeman is brought in to help Scotland Yard solve the case. Exactly what you think it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. It's atmospheric as hell. They dial up the fog machine to like 1,000,000, or in properly, they dial it up to 11 in this movie. So much London fog, so much English night fog and stuff like that, and the Jack the Ripper character comes out of the alleyways and preys on women, and he's got this deep, dark, brooding voice and all those kind of stuff. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You can actually, I think you can watch it. I think on Tubi right now. Don't quote me on that though. Um, but yeah, that's Jack the Ripper. It's a worldwide UHD premiere of the movie. Let's see, when are these? I didn't even look to see when these are coming out. I'm fading fast. Let's see. These are June releases. These are all coming out in June. And then you have the Unknown World. Now, this movie is a cross between Journey to the Center of the Earth and like pretty much just Journey to the Center of the Earth. So it says it right here. In this Cold War variation on Journey to the Center of the Earth, scripted by Oscar nominee Millard Kaufman and possibly by blacklisted two-time Oscar winner Dalton Trumbo, 50s sci-fi took a startling turn into a grim abyss. As the world teeters on the brink of nuclear annihilation, a renegade scientist assembles a team of experts to drill deep into the Earth's core in search of a new ecosystem where humanity can survive. That's the premise. This team of scientists drill into the Earth because they think that there is it brings in the whole hollow Earth theory, that there is like the Earth is hollow underneath and people, I guess, can find some place to live in it. Basically, kind of like what they're doing with the monster universe now with King Kong, is there's this hollow Earth place where King Kong rules as king. It's like King Kong rules down there, and then Godzilla rules up top. That's kind of the dynamic that's going on in the American Hollywood monsterverse with Godzilla and King Kong. And it's yeah, and this movie's kind of taking that idea, but like, can you find a place where humans can survive if the top of the world gets destroyed by humanity? Kind of a cool concept. Unfortunately, the movie is like a B movie from when did this movie come out? I think I want to say 1950s. Let me see. Yeah, 1951. So it's an atomic age sci-fi version of that idea. And it's kind of a B movie too, so it's not really highly budgeted in any way. So that's unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate, but I don't mind the idea behind it. I don't mind the stabs it takes. I don't mind kind of the philosophy behind it as well. But this is just a Blu-ray release. So you have an audio commentary with film writer Stephen R. Bissett, Victor Killian, a Blacklist legacy interview with Crawford Killian, actor Victor Killian's grandson. Wow, oh, that's pretty cool. The Unknown World of Terrell O. Morse, interview with film historian C. Courtney Joyner, special effects maestros of the 1950s, video essay by comic book artist Stephen R. Bissett. Okay, that is everything for Severin for June. You have Doctor Who and the Daleks. You've got Daleks Invasion Earth. That's getting Blu-ray and 4K releases. You can get them separately. You can get them together. There's a bundle here you can actually get as well. You can get all of these movies and some extra goodies too. You also have Jack the Ripper, 2-disc 4K UHD, limited edition. Then you have the Unknown World on Blu-ray. And they do have, like I said, the Out of This World's bundle. I guess that's the theme of the June releases, Out of This World, where you get everything. You get everything. So that is it from Severin. Let's see. Let's check some comments. Let's see. Acres the movie says would you rather be in Cool World as depicted in that one or in Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Just because I love that movie so much. That's a childhood favorite of mine. Yeah, I watched that when I was like 3, 4 years old all the time. When I went to Disney World, um, I they had a whole like Toontown set up there. They also had like a whole Roger Rabbit show as well. I was like 3, 4 years old, and I met like the person dressed up as Roger Rabbit in the full mascot costume and stuff. So I still have memorabilia from that. This was keep in mind this is like early '90s. I probably went there in like 1991. Like this is early. I was like like 3, 4 years old and stuff. Yeah. So I have pictures. I have pictures from that time. So yeah, Roger Rabbit is a special film for me. On Acres of Movies also said, "Do you expect or can you rank which are most likely upcoming special editions?" Thanks. Um, Gee, do you want me to rank these movies? Do you expect or can you rank which are most likely upcoming special editions? Dominic and Eugene, Liotta and Hulse movie Noises Off. I think I mean Ray Liotta. I'm assuming. Bingo, the 1991 dog movie Mystery Date from 1991. Uh, The Muse, and then it says, oh, and then okay. So I don't know all of those movies. So I can't quite rank them. Although Bingo from 1991, I watched that movie so much as a kid. Another childhood favorite of mine, because I always wanted a dog when I was a kid. So I would watch all of these dog related movies: Homeward Bound 2, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Bingo, Lady and the Tramp. Think of any other dog movie. I mean, All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. There was an All Dogs Go to Heaven animated series that I even watched when I was a kid. Um, Anything to do with dogs when dogs around that time. I was born in '87. For anybody who needs a time frame here, so basically, like my childhood, you can assume was from '87 to 2000, and then of course I became a teenager, and then whatever. But during the '90s, essentially, I watched anything to do with dogs and whatnot because I always wanted a dog. I would even have like dog books with like different dog breeds in them, and all that stuff. Uh, and I've always had an affinity for dogs and whatnot. So Bingo, I think Bingo got a DVD release many many years ago. My goodness, let me take a quick look here. Um, let's see, Bingo. Yeah, Bingo had a DVD release in 2003 and did have a Blu-ray release in 2021. My goodness, what a Sony, you're doing the Lord's work here. So Sony put out Bingo, the 1991 film, in 2021 on Blu-ray. Wow. I am shocked that I did not know this. I maybe did and forgot, but my goodness, I want this so badly. This movie, oh man, what a film. What a film. Straight out of my childhood, I'll tell you that. Sony doing it, doing a lot of. For some reason, I thought this was a Disney movie, so I didn't think it would be available. Maybe it got one of those like Disney, movie club releases or whatever. Those were exclusive to there for a while. Those are all like out of print now because that program doesn't exist anymore. But Bingo from 1991, holy heck! I'm looking at it right now on Amazon. Available for $14. $14. Let's see. Because the movies also says, "Did you watch Cast a Dark Shadow yet? The Dark Regard noir." I have not seen it yet. I have to still see it. It says, and then Acres the movie says, "Would an inverted The Crying Game remake work? Instead of the person being a man, they are a woman, and Stephen Rea character can be an Irish woman, and the Miranda Richardson character a man. Why not? Why not? Do it. Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I believe it's coincidentally that you asked that question. It is International Trans recognition day, I believe. So of course, why not? Heck, why not do it? We of course here on Chasing Lee will support everything with the LGBTQ uh, plus community, and of course we also support queer cinema. So that sounds like something that would be done. That should be done today. Why not? Hell yeah. Let's see. Maybe and then maybe as a streaming program, should mine that IP ASAP? Yeah, I agree with you. Acres of movies. I agree with you. Let's see. Should they have made a 1991 Top Gun spin-off movie, Iceman, about the Val Kilmer character ascending the ranks? Should they cast a younger Iceman now for streaming series for that prequel to Maverick? That is interesting. If Top Gun came out today, like the original Top Gun came out today, they would have greenlit an Iceman spin-off already to make an Iceman movie, or that, as you said, I don't know if they would go with streaming movie, um, but I feel like they would do more things within that Top Gun world. They would certainly make sequels very quickly. I would not be surprised if they make another Top Gun movie, um, considering how popular and how successful Top Gun Maverick was, and the fact that Tom Cruise really kind of only has his previous work that he's falling back on now. And I think Mission Impossible is ending. Like I think Mission Impossible will be ending this year. That seems to be what the rumors is. What the rumor is, and perhaps he will then, make another Top Gun movie, and afterward. Um, Acres the movie says, "I love bingo." Like I just said, I love bingo too. Acres the movie says, "Wow, I want bingo blue." Hey, it's available. It's available. I am shocked that it's available. Um, and then Acres the movie says, "I think they make Top Gun 3, then spin off into some streaming programs." Um, they do have Paramount Plus that they could put that on. I don't know what the studios are doing right now when it comes to uh things set just for streaming. I don't know what the landscape is right now, because right now things are wild out there now. The whole streaming bubble, the whole streaming thing collapsed, and it collapsed pretty damn hard. And all the companies that put so much into it are hurting now financially. You're seeing it with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, I've been saying it for a while now, they're trying to find money any way they can. They basically just got rid of Looney Tunes because they don't know what to do with it, and they don't want to put money into it. They want to kind of keep mining their IP. Their DC films have to hit for them, and if they don't hit financially for them, I don't know what's going to happen with Warner Brothers. Um, they're doing the whole Harry Potter reboot right now with making that Harry Potter series. So they're trying to mine their IP there. Um, Disney, of course, is still rolling with Star Wars and the Marvel films and other stuff they've got cooking there. So they're rolling with that. Um, I don't know what other companies have certain IPs. I know Paramount, we're talking Paramount right now. They don't know what to do with Star Trek. They don't know what to do with Star Trek theatrically. We've heard for years they've been thinking about doing different things. So I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know how well they're doing financially. If there's another studio that's going to be folded into another one of these big ones, I think Paramount may be the one, even though they just got sold. So maybe not. Paramount did just get sold to somebody. So things are wild out there right now. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future when it comes to IP mining and non-IP mining, and what we're going to do with streaming versus theatrical versus physical. I have no idea. It's so up in the air right now. Um, I don't know. Acres the movie says, is Patrick Bergen from Sleeping with the Enemy on Mount Rushmore of the thriller villains, or is he too dark or abusive and not fun enough for Face Sculpture Mountain? Don't know. Don't know. That it's tough because Mount Rushmore, you only have like what, 4 faces you can put up there. Um, Acres the movie says, excited for Carnal Knowledge. I will get that. It has been a couple of years since I've seen that. I first heard about the one when they try to sneak in to see that movie in the Wonder Years program. Wonder Years, that's another nostalgic hit from my childhood. Um, it's a yeah, that was a formative series from my childhood. But let's move on to what else we've got here. I believe we have Eureka and Arrow, and I believe that is it in terms of everything we have to discuss here. So let's go over to Eureka. Eureka has 3 announcements, and these are all things coming out for June. Excuse me. I'm starting to lose my voice. So we've got a movie called Heart of Stone. So in 1950, DEFA, the state-owned film studio of East Germany, which we just saw that they're releasing a box set of a bunch of their movies, embarked on what would prove to be a long tradition of producing films based on folk tales by the likes of Hans Christian Andersen and the Brothers Grimm. German author Wilhelm Hoff provided the sources for the studio's first folk tale, The Cold Heart, or Heart of Stone, which became Das Kalte Herz, or Heart of Stone. The first East German production to be shot in color, it remained one of the most successful films the GDR ever produced under DEFA's dissolution in 1992. I will say this. Eureka has released a trailer for their release, and it looks incredible. It looks like a fairy tale come to life, beautiful colors and imagery, all kinds of stuff. And the movie's not available to watch anywhere. I couldn't find it to watch it. Not available to stream, not available to rent, not available anywhere, which is such a damn shame. But I wanted to see this so badly. Peter Monk lives in the Black Forest with his mother and makes a modest living selling charcoal in the nearest town. He is deeply in love with the beautiful Lisbeth and equally as jealous of the arrogant Ezekiel, a wealthy merchant who frequents the local tavern. Just desperate to improve his social standing, Peter appeals to a mischievous forest spirit. Never talk to the forest spirits, people. The glass imp. For help, the imp grants Peter 2 wishes, but only with strict conditions attached that leave him wanting more. He then turns to the infamous Dutch Michael. Apparently it's Dutch Michael. A reclusive warlock who can give Peter anything his heart desires, but only if he's willing to exchange his heart for one made of stone. Hence the title of the movie, Heart of Stone. This sounds like a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, a Brothers Grimm fairy tale, something that I'm very much interested in. Yeah, I really want to see this movie. Looks like the only way I'm going to be able to is through this release from Eureka, which is coming out in June. So new 2K restoration of the original 35mm camera negative by the DEFA Foundation, new audio commentary by DEF historian Sean Allen, author of Screening Art, Modernist Aesthetics, and the Socialist Imaginary in East German Cinema. Once Upon a Time in the East, new interview with Soviet cinema expert Claire Knight on the Heart of Stone and children's media in the Eastern Bloc. This is fascinating stuff, by the way. Tales from the Black Forest, new video essay on Heart of Stone, folk tales and gothic horror by film and literature scholar Mary Going. The Bremen Town Musicians, silhouette folktale short produced by the DEFA studio for animation film. The Magic Ring, silhouette folktale short produced by DEFA studio for animation film. Thumbelina's Adventure, animated folktale short produced by the DEFA studio for animation film. Very cool stuff. Like I said, I don't know a lot about, German cinema from the 1950s. This is right after World War II. And this is when this movie came out in 1950. And this would be cinema that lasted from, let's say the end of World War II, 1945 to 1992. That would be the when the Berlin Wall was taken down and all that and Soviet Union was done and whatnot. Fascinating stuff. What would be going on during that time, during the Soviet Union, and what you could put on film because of the restrictions of, communism and culture and stuff like that. Really interesting things. And being, a historical, inclined person like myself, especially when it comes to cinema, I love delving into the history of cinema. That's one of my favorite things about this. And that's why I really love special features like this. So that is Heart of Stone. And next we've got Hong Kong 1941, another film I wish I could see but could not find. Um, let's see. Produced by Sammo Hung, Hong Kong 1941 follows three Hong Kongers forced to negotiate life under occupation as their homeland falls to the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. Um, um, Hakunam is a young woman locked in a love triangle with her close friends Yip Kim Fei and Wang Hak Kyung. As a dream of escape, their complicated personal relationships play out against the background of oppression and brutality that was brought to Hong Kong by Japanese rule between 1941 and 1945. For those of you who don't know, the historical context, Japan invaded uh, China in heck late 1930s and of course during World War II, and obviously occupied Hong Kong. And this movie is set during that time. So, and this movie came out in 1984. Yeah, this is a 1984 film. Yeah, I believe Chow Yun Fat is in this film as well. It's an early Chow Yun Fat film. But let's get to some special features. So, original Cantonese and mono audio track. English dub, of course, English subtitles as well, which is my preferred way to watch something like this. New audio commentary by East Asian film expert Frank Zhang. Um, Hong Kong 1984 new video essay by Tony Raines on the contemporary impact of Hong Kong 1941. Archival interview with Chow Yun Fat. Archival interview with Cecilia Yip. And that's it. It's coming out June 16th, day before my birthday. Day before my birthday. So, next is a double feature called Exact Revenge, and I did see the first film here called The Eunuch. So we have The Eunuch and the Deadly Knives. So let's see. The Wuxia Plan, written by legendary Lo Wei and directed by Teddy Yip. The Eunuch begins as the eponymous. Hold on. Yeah, the eponymous eunuch Gildehay survives an attempt on his life ordered by the Emperor. After killing the Emperor and his family in cold blood, Guy notices that the prince is missing and sets out to complete his revenge mission. Then Qing Li and Ling Yun, under threat by Japanese thugs, star in kung fu film The Deadly Knives as young lovers Guan Yu Hua and Yan Zifei, whose relationship is tested when Yan's family comes under threat by Japanese thugs led by Agawa. He becomes determined to avenge their honor, even if that means taking on Guan's corrupt father. That's interesting way. Okay. So I don't like that description. That description was not what I watched. The Eunuch and the Deadly Knives were made just as the Wuxia film was giving way to the Kung Fu movie in the wake of Bruce Lee's international success, and provide a fascinating insight into how the theme of revenge was retooled at one genre superseded another. Eureka Classics presents both films on Blu-ray for the first time anywhere in the world. Um, yeah, that's not the movie I watched. Hold on. Did I watch the right movie? You know what? You know what's this stuff? This is the first time ever. So I did not watch the right Eunuch film. There's a movie called The Eunuch from 1971, and then there's a movie The Eunuch from 1968. That's the one I watched. Interesting. Yeah, hold on. Let me go check my letterbox. This is the first time ever. That's why this is completely throwing me off for an absolute loop. So there is a eunuch film. Yeah, I watched the wrong movie. Okay. So the eunuch from 1968, which is not uh part of this, is a completely different movie directed by a completely different person. That's why this description completely threw me way the heck off. Okay. All right then. So the Eunuch from 1971 says Eunuch Guy Dihe avoids assassination and attracts a most bloody revenge, and extracts the most bloody revenge on the royal family. And then the Deadly Knives, Yan Zifei and Guan Wei Hua are returning home in love and plan to tell their parents. But once they arrive back, they find that there is a conflict between the two families. Guan Fun Lin is working with Master Agawa to assist whatever. Let's see. Yeah, Master Ogawa to assist the Japanese in taking possession of the Yan's family forest. By fair means or foul, with Master Yan refusing to sell, Ogawa continues his plotting using deceit, betrayal, and ultimately bloody violence to get what he wants. That's the Deadly Knives. Yeah. So, I didn't watch either of these movies. I thought I had watched The Eunuch, but I watched a completely different one. It's baffling to me they came out with a movie called The Eunuch in 1968, and then they came out with a movie called The Eunuch in 1971. So close together, same exact title. Same exact title. My goodness. Oh man, I am losing my mind here. So, that's the double feature. Let's see. Let me get to the double feature. Special features, sorry. Special features of the double feature. So, Exact Revenge, The Eunuch, and The Deadly Knives. You have a high definition presentation of both films, original Mandarin audio soundtracks, optional English dub for Deadly Knives, optional English subtitles newly revived for this release, a new audio commentary on The Eunuch by action cinema experts Mike Leader and Arn Venema, new audio commentary on The Deadly Knives by Frank Zhang, and that's it. That's it. So you get a commentary for each film. And that's it. So that is everything from Eureka for June. You've got The Heart of Stone from 1950. You've got Hong Kong 1941 from 1984. And Exact Revenge, a double feature of The Eunuch and The Deadly Knives, 1971 and 1972. So now we get to Arrow. Before we get to Arrow, let's check these commentaries, these comments here. Let's see. Acres of Movies asks, have you seen the Werner Herzog movie Heart of Glass? I think it's called I Think They Were Under Hypnosis. I have not seen that. There's a lot of Werner Herzog I have not seen that I need to see eventually. There is a Werner Herzog. There are two Werner Herzog box sets from Shout Factory, actually. There's a Volume 1 and Volume 2. There's a Werner Herzog box set from the BFI that I heard is a better box set. But right now, Shout is actually starting to release Werner Herzog films in 4K. Like they just released Aguirre, The Wrath of God in 4K. I think they're releasing another one of his films in 4K. So I've got to do some investigating on what's the best way to go about this. I have a Werner Herzog section. I have Aguirre, The Wrath of God, actually, on Blu-ray. I've got that, and I've got several more of his kind of more modern stuff. But I've got to get his back catalog of things. He's an interesting filmmaker. His documentaries are incredibly challenging and just very surreal. You know, there's the one where what's it called? Cave of Dreams, where he goes into these caves and it's just him like narrating the whole time. It's fascinating stuff. Equals the movie says, do you like Fatal Beauty? If so, can you help me lobby labels to make a special edition for that? I wish. Tom Holland commentary with interviews with Whoopi, Sam Elliott, and the making of. Cher was intended for the Whoopi role. Interesting. Let me see. Fatal Beauty. Does that sound familiar? Let's see. So there is a Blu-ray release for Fatal Beauty. Came out in 2016. You can find it. It was put out by Olive Films. Olive Films is no longer around, so finding their releases are kind of tough. But in terms of special features, I don't think it has any. If I remember correctly, yeah, no special features at all. Nothing. And that was Olive Films' thing, is they really didn't do a lot when it came to special features for most of their stuff. You basically just got the movie. which is fine. I mean, at the time, we their catalog of stuff was stuff we were not getting at all. You know what I mean? They were putting out stuff on Blu-ray for the first time, like Fatal Beauty, like a lot of other catalog stuff. So it's available, but just no special features. And I don't even know if the Blu-ray looks good. Let's see. Acres movie says, I enjoy those movies you mentioned from Europe and Asia. Do you like Aki Kaurismäki movies? And which ones? If he was brought to the USA for 2 movies, which one would you advise for him? Is he underrated? Aki Kaurismäki is underrated, and I've seen his early stuff. I've seen his, let me see, his Leningrad Cowboy stuff. So Aki Kaurismäki, a lot of his stuff's been released by Criterion. And he's a really good filmmaker. For those of you listening, let's see, what have I seen from him? I've seen The Match Factory. I've seen Shadows in Paradise. So basically his 1980s stuff. Ariel. I've seen Leningrad Cowboys Go America. Let's see, what else have I seen? Is that it? I've seen 5 of his films. And then I've seen his short film Rocky 6. So there are several of his main stuff I still need to see. Like Le Havre. Didn't he do La Vie de Bohème? Yeah, La Vie de Bohème. Those are ones I still have to see. But yeah, I a few years ago I went on the Criterion channel. Actually has a lot of his stuff. They may have all of his stuff actually. And I just went on there, and they probably have an Aki Kaurismäki collection. And I just went in order. I started, his earliest, and I went through a few of them. That's why a lot of these are from the 80s. And basically, I got up to the 90s stuff that they had, and I've got to continue after that. He's a really good filmmaker. Where's he? Let's see. Yeah, he's a Finnish filmmaker. You don't see a lot of Finnish films. Let's see. Let's see. Acres the movie says Marco Polo may have had children in his travels. Would you like to see De Niro play an elderly Marco Polo and Chow Yun-fat play his son? That would be so cool to see them act together. Have they made a Marco Polo film? I feel like of so many prevalent historical people, you would think Marco Polo would have had a film made about him, like a biopic or something like that. Maybe he hasn't. I just don't know. But Acres of Movies also says the Royal Family Revenge one was interesting. I didn't realize they could make a movie like that. It was pretty brutal and a lot of implied craziness. Okay. Let's see. There was an Estonian movie I enjoyed in 2015 or so, The Poet and the Spy. I think that one was overlooked. A really good one. I got to add that to my list. You don't see a lot of Estonian films get mentioned a lot. And then Acres of Movie says Ariel is good, and the Factory one and La Havre great, and the Leningrad ones. You're welcome. Thanks. Let's see. What movie monologue would you set as your alarm for a day with an important meeting ahead? Any. if it was I'm assuming if there's an important meeting ahead, it would have to be something inspirational. It would have to be something to get you motivated, to get you energized, to get you moving. There's that scene in Rocky Balboa when he's talking to his son, portrayed by Milo Ventimiglia, and it's the one where it's not how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit. It's not about how hard you can get hit, it's how much you can take and keep going forward. That's one of my favorites. I've referenced that many times here on Chasing Labels. Back in the day, but our previous podcast was Cinema Discovery Project, and we did all of the Rocky movies in one episode. It's like a 4-hour episode. We did all of the Rocky movies, and then I think we did Rocky, and we did Creed 1 and Creed 2. And I think it was leading into Creed 3. Or maybe maybe Creed 2 had just come out. I think Creed 2 had just come out, so we did all the movies. But yeah, and I really like Rocky Balboa a lot. I really like that movie, especially since that movie is really there to make up for how bad Rocky 5 is. Coincidentally, I was just looking the other day because I've got to upgrade my Rocky movies. I've got the old Blu-rays. I've got to get the 4Ks. I've got to get the new cut of Rocky 4 just because I haven't watched it. And I've got to get there's a new cut of Rocky 5, coincidentally. I don't know how you can make that movie better, but but Sylvester Stallone tried. Or whoever tried. But yeah. Let's see. And then Acres of Movie says, can Milo Ventimiglia play Jason Bourne? Would that be good? I've never seen Milo Ventimiglia do an action role other than what he did in Heroes. Everything else I've seen from him has been dramatic. His turn in, um, um, oh my goodness, I'm blanking now because I'm so overtired. This Is Us. His dramatic turn in This Is Us is very good. I think the acting in that show in general was astounding. For a network drama, for a modern day network drama, This Is Us was really well acted. They kind of kept writing themselves in circles a lot, especially as the seasons went on. They kept going back and redoing things and redoing stories and themes that we had already uh, talked about over and over again. They were just retconning things at some point, but the acting was always really really good in there, and Milo Ventimiglia was really good in it. But as for an action star, I don't know if he's got the Jason Bourne in him. They're rebooting Jason Bourne now, which is baffling to me. That's a franchise I thought they were going to do more with. We talked about them doing more with the Top Gun franchise. I thought they would have done more with Jason Bourne. I know they made 4 Matt Damon films and 1 spin-off film with Jeremy Renner, but it felt like they were spread out, for a while. You know what I mean? They made those 3 Matt Damon films pretty close together, and then Bourne Legacy took a few years, and then of course the 4th Jason Bourne film took a while too. I don't know what they could do with Jason Bourne other than do what they did with Jack Reacher, you know, and turn it into a series on Amazon or something like that. I don't know who has the rights to that. Universal, so maybe Peacock. You were talking about kind of doing something in streaming before. A Jason Bourne, Jack Reacher-esque streaming thing. You know what they did with they did the same thing with what's John Krasinski in that Amazon series, Jack Ryan. Yeah, Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, Jason Bourne. they get all the J names, I guess. But we're coming into the final stretch here on Chasing Labels, spine number 161, episode number 161, and this is the Arrow releases for June. June is my birthday month, and they unloaded some interesting titles, good titles here. So here we go with the batch. Let me run this down here. So we've got the Alex Proyas Dark City getting a 4K UHD release finally. This has been rumored for a while. We got Witness is getting re-released in the UK. Witness had been released here in the US as an Arrow limited edition and standard edition. That limited edition of Witness, I still want to get. It sold out so fast when it came out. I didn't realize that Witness was so popular. I know it stars Harrison Ford. I know it's an 80s movie. I know it was, critically loved at the time. Like I said, Harrison Ford nominated for an Oscar for it, the only time ever in his career so far. But yeah, it's sold out so fast. We've got Roadhouse, the 1989 Patrick Swayze film, which has a gorgeous release from Vinegar Syndrome. It's one of their VSU releases. I have it, and it's gorgeous. I see it on my shelf down there next to Road Games. Yeah, that's right now. That's a nice release. And then we have Swordfish from 2001. And then we've got Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the 1974, the original. Of course, there was that remake with Tony Scott later on with Denzel and John Travolta. But this is the original Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I have the Kino 4K release of that already. And then you have the Invisible Swordsman, and then you have the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which they've been releasing one of the Man with No Name trilogy one a month, and now we've gotten to the big one, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So they've released one a month in April, May, and June, and now we're here for the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that has also been released on a 4K from Kino already as well. So okay, so you see all these titles here. Many of them are recognizable. Obviously, I think the odd one out is the Invisible Swordsman, which I don't think a lot of people know. Coincidentally, it's the only one of these I haven't seen and don't own at all, and I couldn't find it to watch it. Can't find it to stream, can't find it to rent, can't find it anywhere. That seems to be a theme going on here. But the other ones I either have. Actually, I have all. Yeah, I have an old DVD of Witness. I have it already. I have the Roadhouse, like I said, from Vinegar Syndrome. I have Swordfish on Blu-ray. Um, and like I said, I have taken Pelham 1, 2, 3, and I have the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Because that movie's been released so many times. That's been released in every format, pretty much, numerous times on Blu-ray, numerous times numerous times now in 4K. That's the one negative I would say about this release slate. These are all things that people probably have in their collection already. So now we have to decide, are they worth getting over the ones we already have in our collection or not? We got to do a little compare and contrast in terms of special features, in terms of picture quality, all that kind of stuff. And then you make the judgment based off of your own personal preferences. I'll say this here. Obviously, I think top of the list is Dark City, because Dark City, the Alex Proyas film, from 1998, this has needed an upgrade for many, many years. I mean, I'll check now, but I think the Blu-ray came out a long time ago. Let's see. Yeah, Dark City. Let's see. Yeah, the Dark City Blu-ray came out in 2008. Okay, so we're now in 2025. So this has needed somewhat of an upgrade somewhere. This is an old VC1. This is from New Line. This is a Warner Brothers release. Once again, we're seeing Warner Brothers license out their stuff to the boutique label world. And that was only the director's cut. And yeah, like I said, it's a VC. No, it's both cuts. There's a director's cut and theatrical cut on here. And it came with a decent special features package. For something released in 2008, there was commentary tracks on the director's cut, the extended cut, the theatrical cut, the director's cut. There was an intro by Proyas, and then big time special feature here. Let me see, just comparison's sake. Let's see. I'm not gonna go through. Let's see. It looks like it's got the special features. I don't know if it's got that intro by Proyas, though. But anywho, the guy, I probably should have done this research beforehand. Oh, it does have the archive intro by Proyas. Okay, so it's got commentary by... Yeah, this has got the director's cut for the 4K Arrow release has got 3 audio commentaries. It's got commentary by Proyas, commentary by Roger Ebert, and a commentary by Lem Dobbs and David S. Goyer. Wow. And then it has the intro by Proyas. It's got a new hour-long documentary featuring interviews with Alex Proyas and producers, everybody. It's got actors in here. It's got everybody. That's an hour long. New visual essay by film scholar Alexandra West. I'm as much in the dark as you are, a new visual essay by film scholar Josh Nelson on film noir and identity in Dark City. Then you have the second disc, which also has a commentary by Proyas, as well as a bunch of other people, and then another commentary with Roger Ebert. Then it's got Memories of Shell, which is a 2008 featurette that's on that original Blu-ray. Architect of Dreams, which is also on that original Blu-ray. So you're getting archive stuff and new stuff. This is a big release. This is going to sell really well. This is going to sell. I can see this selling out real fast. The limited edition, at least. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be selling out. Yeah, it's going to be a hot seller. So that's, yeah, and it's coming out US and Canada street date June 24th, UK street date June 23rd. There is, of course, a Blu-ray version as well as a 4K version, depending on how you prefer. The limited edition, of course, comes with all the extra good stuff that we all know of. The thicker casing, and it's got a 60-page book, double-sided poster, 3 poster cards, postcard-sized reproductions of art cards. Yeah, it's going to be one of those deluxe releases, those nice deluxe releases. Now we've got I mean, Witness I've already gone over, so I don't have to go over it because I went over it when it was announced for the US. So I'm assuming it's the same as the US release in terms of content, in terms of special features and things like that. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but at least the UK is getting their version now. Granted, they could always have imported the 4K from here, which they probably did. Hence why it sold out so fast. Then we've got Roadhouse, the Patrick Swayze film. This movie actually I think ages very well. Like I watched it recently when I wanted to test out the Vinegar Syndrome release, and I think it's still as good now as it was when it came out. I mean, it's actually a much darker, more serious film than I think people think of it as, or that it has the reputation as. People just think of it as the Patrick Swayze movie where he kicks a lot of ass, and he does. He does kick a lot of ass, but this character of Dalton is going through kind of like an existential crisis dealing with, his past actions and stuff like that. And you have the Sam Elliott character who is his friend and mentor, and he's got a romance thing going on as well. Um you have Ben Gazzara as a really bad piece of crap guy, it's an instant it's an such a rewatchable film too. Iconic film, I would say. Let's see just quickly, or else I wouldn't be doing my due diligence here on Chasing Leos. I didn't just casually look at the difference in special features between um the Vinegar Syndrome as well as this new release here. So let's see. Let me go over to the Vinegar Syndrome release was stacked. That is a stacked release. See. And they did this recently. Arrow did this recently with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where they're putting out their own release, and they did transfer a lot of the special features from the Vinegar Syndrome release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And it looks like they've done the same thing here. Like both the commentaries are here. It looks like they're very similar. I have to do a one-to-one comparison, but I don't have the time right now, or else this would just be a lot of dead air of me just reading the screen, which I know is not entertaining either for the people watching here on YouTube or for the listeners in the audio world. You don't want to hear just dead air of me just not saying anything and me just reading, as if it's an audiobook. Not even an audiobook, it'd just be dead air, just nothing. Let's see. I'll say both of these releases definitely have a lot in the way of special features. Yeah, they're comparable. They're comparable, but if you've got the Vinegar Syndrome release already, the 4K, I think you may be okay. I don't know if you've got to upgrade. Granted, the encoding may be different. The way in which Arrow encodes films and the way in which other companies encode films would be different. That's why sometimes there is a difference in the picture quality between for example, Shout Factory and Arrow both put out the movie Carrie, the Brian De Palma film. They both put them out in Blu-ray. They both put them out in 4K. There was a difference in special features, but one of the main differences is the way in which the 4Ks look. The Arrow release, I believe, looked a little bit better than the Shout Factory release, and it's not because and it's mostly to do with the encode and stuff like that. It's very minute things, probably things that you guys don't really care about. But for me, I'm always trying to find that little edge to see which one is better. You know what I mean? I want to get the best release that I possibly can get when I'm comparing two different things. But yeah, so like I said, if you've got the Vinegar Syndrome release, you may be fine. Let's see. Swordfish. Now this is a big one. This is a big one because the Swordfish, the original Swordfish Blu-ray, similar to what I was just saying about Dark City, came out a long time ago. It came out back in 2011, which is now, not a long time ago. It is, oh boy, I'm trying to do math now. 14 years ago? Yeah, 14 years ago. And this was also a Warner Brothers release at the time, a VC1 encode. They were holding on to that inferior encode for their discs longer than any other mainstream studio. I don't know why. It seemed like them and Universal were holding on to that just garbage encode, which the codec, I mean. And I don't know why. They were doing it all the way up, like I said, to 2011. VC1, I've said it before. For those of you who don't give a damn, sorry, sorry. Um, it was just it's a more compressed codec used for the video on the disc, so you wouldn't get you wouldn't get as good picture quality with versus another encode like an MPEG 4 or something like that. So they would basically squish the video down so you get compression issues and stuff like that. And I hate that they still need to release some of those old VC1 encoded Blu-rays in nice new releases. But that's just me being very nerdy about all this kind of stuff. So you've got the movie Swordfish. This is a movie that I've seen. I think I've seen it once or twice. Came out in 2001. I would have been about 14 years old when it came out at the time, and I remember seeing the TV spots, the trailers, people talking about it, about the movie, all the hype around it, and people really liking it when it came out. And then I watched it when I was much older, and I think it's okay. I think it's cool. I think it's fine. If I remember, let me see what the premise is if I remember correctly. So the 90s is an ever growing number of action thrillers based around computers and the internet as more and more people connected to the information superhighway. Fresh from the success of The Matrix, legendary producer Joel Silver, who did, produced Roadhouse, The Invasion, I think he produced the, um, I'm completely forgetting now. He produced a lot of action films of the 80s and 90s, would ride the wave of this global phenomenon into the next millennium. Former master hacker Stanley Jobson, Hugh Jackman, in an early role, is on, well, not early, it's right after he was an X-Men, is on parole after getting caught infiltrating an FBI program. Even so much as glancing at a computer could send him straight back to prison. But Stanley's new offline life is interrupted when he's approached by the mysterious Gabriel Scheer, portrayed by John Travolta, who offers him $10 million for one last hacking job. Unable to resist the lure of the computer screen, Stanley accepts and finds himself caught in the middle of a complex web of intrigue involving several covert agencies and a $9 billion government slush fund. So we've got computer hacking and we've got money to be had. Slick, stylish, and action-packed, Swordfish is nail-biting, a high-tech thriller from its explosive opening to its thrilling climax with a great supporting cast, including Halle Berry, Don Cheadle, and Vinnie Jones. That's right, Vinnie Jones is in the movie. That's killing me that I can't remember. Oh, Lethal Weapon. I think Lethal Weapon was the other one that Joel Silver produced. Maybe. But yeah, I know that Acres of Movies, you were excited about Swordfish. Let's see. Swordfish, same director as California. Interesting. Let's see. And then Acres of Movies also asks, how long is Dark City making of? Excited to see the older features ported over, I hope. They are. They are. From what I just saw, they are. Let me scroll back up to Dark City. Yeah, it's way at the top of the screen here. So the new making of Return to Dark City, a new hour-long featuring interviews with director Alex Proyas and everybody else, is an hour long. Like I said, it's a new hour-long feature. And then the old making of features with Memories of Shell Beach is like 42 minutes long, if I remember, the old 2008 featurette. So pretty substantial time here. But let's check what we got for Swordfish, shall we? This is a 4K release, so it's Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film, original lossless stereo and 5.1 DTS HD master audio options, pretty standard at this point. Let's see. Audio commentary by director Dominic Senna. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. A long time. Man, holy heck, I haven't heard that name in forever. It is the same director as California, as Acres of Movies said. But let's see. Dominic Sen also directed Season of the Witch with Nicolas Cage. He also directed Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, a criminally underrated thriller from 2000. Still, what talk about a great cast? That's a great casting. Gone in 60 Seconds. You've got, of course, the amazing Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, uh, Robert Duvall, Timothy Olyphant, Will Patton, one of the best character actors of our time, Giovanni Ribisi, James Duvall, Delroy Lindo, Chai McBride, Christopher Eccleston, um, Vinnie Jones is in that as well. Scott Conn, that's who I was looking for. I was like, I couldn't find Scott Conn. There he is. Uh, but yeah, Dominic Senna, what a name. I haven't heard about him in a long time. Next up, Soundtrack Hacker, a brand new interview with composer Paul Oakenfold. How to Design a Tech Heist, a brand new interview with production designer Jeff Mann. HBO First Look, Swordfish, a promotional behind the scenes featurette, back when they did that. Effects in Focus, a flying bus, a promotional featurette detailing how the film's iconic climactic scene was created. Planet Rock Club, Reel, a music video by film's composer Paul Oakenfold. Swordfish, in Conversation, a promotional featurette with interviews from cast and crew members, including actor Hugh Jackman, John Travolta, Halle Berry, Don Cheadle, Sam Shepard, director Dominic Senna, and Joel Silver. Then two alternate endings. You've got reversible sleeve art, double-sided fold-out poster, illustrated booklet. Yeah, awesome. That's pretty cool. So if you're a fan of Swordfish, this is gonna be a nice release. In terms of comparing it to the old Blu-ray, let's see what we got here. Oh, I lied, by the way. The old Swordfish Blu-ray came out in 2006. It was re-released in 2011 with the same exact disc. So it's even older than I thought. It's even older than I thought. Goodness gracious. And that old release came with the HBO First Look. And then like yeah, it's in Conversation. Yeah, this review on Blu-ray.com is so old they don't even list the special features like on like a list form. They put it in a paragraph. That's how old this review is from like 2006. Holy goodness gracious. So you do get all the special features carried over from that 2006 release to this Arrow release as well. So it looks like you do get all of them. So that's pretty good. Oh man, 2006. That was the year I graduated high school, for anybody keeping track at home. But now we've got the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. This is a classic film. This film is excellent. This film still holds up today. And like I said, I already have the 4K release from Kino, which is already a stacked, beautiful edition. Like that edition is already phenomenal. So I don't know if I need to upgrade this, but if you haven't seen Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original with Walter Matthau, it's great. It is excellent. Um, let's see. So this is a 4K release. So beneath the streets of Manhattan on an afternoon like any other, four armed men hijack a subway carriage, demanding a $1 million ransom within an hour, or they'll start executing their hostages. Upstairs in the New York Transit Authority's control room, world-weary transit cop Lieutenant Garber, Walter Matthau, is forced into a deadly game of cat and mouse with the cool, calculating Mr. Blue, portrayed by Robert Shaw, parrying the demands of both the hijackers and the city's authorities as the clock counts down to the fateful deadline. So you've got this cat and mouse game between Walter Matthau and Robert Shaw as they're calling each other over the phone, basically. And yeah, it's great. The late great Jerry Stiller, I believe, is in this film as well. It's great to see him in movie roles and whatnot. But let's see what we got here for special features. So 4K restoration from the original camera negative, Dolby Vision HDR presentation, lossless 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio Remix, or you have the original lossless mono as well. I know people like to listen to the older films in their original audio as well. So that's available here. And you've got an audio commentary by film historian Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson, audio commentary by actor slash filmmaker Pat Healy and film programmer slash historian Jim Healy. Now let me see. Those two commentaries are the same on the Kino release. So those two commentaries are the same on the Kino release. The mapping of Pelham 123, brand new then and now tour of the film's location by critic Brian Reisman, featuring Jody Shapiro, curator of the New York Transit Museum. That's pretty cool. So that's new. That's not on the Kino release. That is not on the Kino release. Yeah, I'm scrolling through the Kino release now. Nope, not there. So we've got Central to Pelham 123, brand new filmed appreciation by Barry Forshaw, author of American Noir. That's new, not on the Kino release. 12 Minutes with Mr. Gray and Shades of Gray, 2 interviews with actor Hector Alonso. I believe that is on the Kino release. It is. Cutting on Action, 2016 interview with editor Gerald B. Greenberg. That is on the Kino release. The Sound of the City is on the Kino release. As you can see here, so far there's only two that are not, that are brand new. Above and Below, 2008 interview with director of photography Owen Roisman. Let's see. What did I say? Above and Below, right? Yeah. Let's see, Above and Below. Where are you, Above and Below? So that is not on the Kino release. Okay. Not on the Kino release, so that's 3 not on the Kino release. Taking the Ride, 2018 featurette exploring the film's New York City locations. That's not on the Kino release. Make sure my headphones are still working. They are. And then you've got The Making of Pelham 123, the vintage production featurette. That is on the Kino release. Okay. So there's about three. There's about 3. Let's see. What does it say? 3 or 4 special features. I lost count because my mind is absolutely melted now. Once you hit the 3-hour mark here on Chasing Labels, I am worn out. So there's about 3 or 4 special features on the Arrow release that are not on the Kino release. So now you've got to weigh the options of if you which release you want, or if you have the Kino release, do you want to double dip and get the Arrow release for the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3? Now, The Invisible Swordsman, like I said, I did not get to see. This is a Japanese film. In Edo-era Japan, Senshiro diligently hones his sword-fighting technique at the Kendo dojo, but no amount of practice can hide the fact that he is both clumsy and cowardly when his samurai father falls prey to a gang of murderous phantom thieves while on night watch duties. Senshiro is drawn to the banks of the Sanju River that separates the worlds of the living and the dead. Here he encounters a strange being that introduces itself as Shokira. The otherworldly apparition offers advice on how Senshiro can avenge his father with the aid of a mysterious potion with the power to turn him invisible. I'm assuming he takes the potion. Special features on this one here. We've got brand new audio commentary from author and Asian culture expert Jonathan Clements. The Invisible People, a brand new interview with film critic Kim Newman on the history of invisibility in cinema. Phantom Fighter, a brand new interview with the film critic and Japanese expert Jasper Sharp. And that is it. That is it for The Invisible Swordsman. Now we've got the big one, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is the famous Sergio Leone film starring Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach, Lee Van Cleef as well. And this is an all-time classic spaghetti western. This is one of Sergio Leone's greatest films. It's probably one of the best westerns ever made. It may be, I mean, depending on who you talk to, it may be the best western ever made. It may be the best Sergio Leone film ever made. Maybe the best Clint Eastwood film ever made. All depending on your personal preference, obviously. But damn, it's good. Damn, it's good. Um, just I don't I everybody's either seen it or heard about it. If you haven't even seen it, you probably have heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, uh like I just said, it's good. It's one of the best ever. It is a long film, not a short film. Um it's 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 Sergio Leone doing a David Lean epic, but in a spaghetti western form. Sergio Leone had much respect and draw a lot of inspiration from the great David Lean, and he wanted to kind of emulate David Lean in this movie, and he does because it's a long movie. It's his Lawrence of Arabia, it's his Bridge on the River Kwai, it's his Doctor Zhivago, and yeah, let's see what we've got. And like I said, this is another one that Kino's already put this out in 4K. So, and they put it out on Blu-ray as well. So we've got to see this. That Kino 4K is stacked. I don't know if I can do this side by side, um, but this is a 3-disc edition. There is an international cut on a 4K. There's an extended cut on the 4K, and there's a third disc that is a Blu-ray just full with extras, and there's a fourth disc that's sad. It's called Sad Hill on Earth limited edition exclusive. That's interesting. What is that? Not sure. Oh, it's a documentary about oh, it's a documentary. That's what that is. Okay, so um I don't know if I can read all this without passing out. So, international cut is there's a new 4K restoration of the 162-minute international cut using the original tube perf Technoscope negative. There's been so much talk about the aesthetic of the various Blu-ray and 4K editions of the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns that it's ad nauseum to figure out which one is the right one and which one is the best one, and if they can be one and the same. I've racked my brain around it for many years now, so I don't know what to do. Uh, and you got a Dolby Vision slash HDR presentation of the film, newly restored original lossless mono audio. There's an audio commentary by film critic and historian Tim Lucas. There is an optional 5.1 DTS HD master audio if you want that. And then the extended cut here is a new 4K restoration of the extended 179-minute cut using the original 2-perf Technoscope negative. Dolby Vision slash HDR presentation, newly restored original mono, 5.1 as well, subtitles, of course. Audio commentary by historian and Leone biographer Sir Christopher Frayling. Audio commentary by film historian and Eastwood biographer Richard Schickel, who was also a film critic as well. Seamless branching options to watch the extended cut with the uncut torture scene and or without the grotto scene originally removed from after the premiere. Interesting little tidbit there. Then the third disc here is just all extras, and my goodness, it is a lot of extras here. I won't go through all of them here. If you want to go to blu-ray.com, and they've got the list here of everything. It's quite extensive. Let's see. So there is an exclusive commentary on the The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly 4K from Kino. Also, the Kino release only has the 162-minute cut. It doesn't have the longer cut of the movie. So that in itself is already a big, big difference. Yeah, that's already a big, big difference. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot here. I'm not going to go through everything. I was just quickly looking down on the list, but it looks like there's more than the Kino release. Yeah, there's more. Like just straight up. It's just straight up. So now this leads me to Another quandary, a collector's quandary. Um, do I? Yeah, I have the the Kino release of A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. Now, do I rebuy those with the Arrow releases so I can get the good, the bad, and the ugly, so I can have all three Arrows releases on the shelf together, as opposed to two Kinos and an Arrow? Because it looks like the Arrow release is better than the Kino release, just by eye testing. I have to wait. We have to wait and see what the transfers look like and stuff like that, and then that'll make the ultimate determination. Uh, but this Arrow release looks pretty good. So A Fistful of Dollars is coming out April. For a Few Dollars More is coming out in May, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is coming out in June. So I have a little bit of time to decide. Before I have a feeling these are going to sell fast. That's just my thing. But as I was saying, um, yeah, that's where we are with all of this. It's where I am with all of this. Um, I can tell you right now, I'm leaning towards rebuying these movies again. I'm sorry, I'm a little delirious. It's about 12:30 at night, and I'm cackling like the Joker because I have owned the the Man with No Name trilogy, the Dollars trilogy, however you want to call it, um, so many times now that I'm going to end up owning them yet again because that's just the way I am as a collector. Where I've got to have the newest, greatest, latest, and greatest edition of a movie. Specifically in this case, we're talking Sergio Leone, we're talking Clint Eastwood, we're talking spaghetti westerns. These are like cream of the crop types of movies here. These aren't, yeah, something lesser, if you will. But that's just me ruminating, 3.5 hours into the podcast here. So let me wrap up because that is it. That is it. And the fourth disc here is Sad Hill on Earth is just a Blu-ray limited edition exclusive of a 2017 documentary by Guillermo de Oliveira following fans' efforts to restore the graveyard set. And it's got a list of like some special features here, like a making of and the making of the original soundtrack of this documentary and whatnot. Um, but let me go over just these release right quickly. We've got the Arrow Video June releases for 2025 of Dark City, Witness, re-release, Roadhouse, Swordfish, The Taking of Pelham 123, The Invisible Swordsman, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So that is it for Arrow releases. Now let me just check the comments here, get to those, and then we'll do the outro, and that'll be it for Chasing Labels episode spy number 161. Let's see. Here we go. I'm just scrolling back up. So Acres of Movie said, "Would you rather see a Tom Petty biopic or Sam Peckinpah biopic, or equal?" I'd say equal. Equal. Although, yeah, because we've seen so many music biopics, we don't see a lot of director biopics. We really don't see a lot of them. I know The Fablemans is a kind of a pseudo biopic about the childhood of Steven Spielberg. You get something like that. Um, but yeah, or maybe Sam Peckinpah. Yeah, Sam Peckinpah. Why not? I liked his work. Acres of Movie says Travolta terrorist, but working to stop terrorists by doing terrorists to raise money to stop terror, and it has a whole bunch of twists and techno and great stunts and hacking, spinning, frantic typing scenes. Yeah, it's edited wildly. He's talking Acres of Movies. She is talking about um, uh, Swordfish. That movie has the early frenetic, like music video style editing that is so unique to that time. If you're not used to it, it'll make you a little woozy. It'll make you a little woozy. Acres of Movies says Sam Shepard also shines in Swordfish. Brief role, he would drive his RV to each movie set and was hard to know when he would arrive. Sam Shepard was a great actor and also a great playwright too. Acres Movie says that, wow, I want that Swordfish one now. New feature on music and bus. Wow. Yeah. They put new stuff and included the old stuff. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. You know what I mean? You include the old stuff from the old releases, and then you add new stuff. And so therefore the people who own the previous version have a reason to buy the new one, and they don't feel like they're, they yeah, you don't feel like you're getting less for what you already have. You don't feel like you're rebuying what you already have. You feel like you are, but you're also getting more. That's the way you do it. The main question or issue is how many are they going to make of this Swordfish new release? I want to make sure I get that with all the accompaniments and features included. Um, I'm hoping they make a lot. I don't. Limited edition for Arrow kind of varies. Like there are still limited edition releases available for a lot of their stuff. It all depends on, I guess, how popular it is. I think Swordfish is going to be popular, though. I think Swordfish is going to be popular. Um, Acres of Movies, if you're interested, um, I don't know if you're into pre-ordering. Let me see if my our buddies over at Orbit DVD have pre-orders up yet. Let's see. So Orbit DVD is, they've sponsored us here on Chasing Labels. We've had Mark from Chasing Labels on the show on the show several times, and they already have the pre-order up. And their Orbit DVD is 100% reliable. Like I I I like what they do over there. And yeah, it's available already to pre-order on orbitdvd.com. That's where I typically buy my stuff. Their shipping is insanely fast. Like Orbit DVD is some of the fastest shipping, like next day shipping. Sometimes same day shipping if you order like before they open up in the morning. You'll get like same day shipping. And depending on where you live in the country, you get this stuff really fast. I'm fortunate enough to where I live in the Northeast where there's a lot of, mail traffic because of, I'm sandwiched in between two metropolitans in Boston and New York. So there's a lot of stuff going on up here. So I get things really, really, really fast. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says if Robert Shaw had lived till 1995, what movies would you have liked to see him in? Maybe some of Sean Connery's roles. Would Robert Shaw have been good in Dick Tracy? Um, that would have been interesting. I know he passed away. Not yeah, he passed away early. I don't think he would be doing Sean Connery roles. I think he was already older. Or was he a contemporary of Sean Connery? I'd have to compare the two, but I think he'd be doing. I would have loved. I don't know if he could pull it off, but like the Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon roles, that would be kind of fun. Like him, that would be kind of fun. I don't know if he could do it because I don't think of Robert Shaw as a comedic actor, but I would have loved to have seen it. Like put him in grumpier old men, something like that, or Out to Sea or whatever. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking of. It says Acres of Movies. Do you foresee Mystic Pizza getting some good special editions soon? Have you been there to that place? Which of the characters do you like the best? So I have not been to Mystic Pizza, but let me see because Mystic Pizza does have a Blu-ray release. Let me see if it's still in print. This is of course the Julia Roberts film, the one that pretty much there was this, and of course there's Pretty Woman. That's the one that really launched her career. But Mystic Pizza came out in 1988. Um, who directed that? Donald Petrie. Okay. Um, so there is a Blu-ray of. Yeah, there's a $10 Blu-ray of Mystic Pizza. Let me see what we got here for special features. I don't know if that's probably not anything, unfortunately. Yeah, no special features other than a theatrical trailer, which isn't a special feature at this point. Let's be real. Um, but yeah, there is an edition. When did this come out? 2011. So yeah, it could use a re-release. Came out in 1988, so we should be getting in. Well, the anniversary already, the 35th anniversary already passed. I guess 2028 would be the next time we get a 40th anniversary, right? Yeah. Yeah, 40th anniversary in 2028. I know it's MGM has the rights to it, so I don't know who has the physical media rights to it. So we'd have to see. But I have not been to Mystic Pizza. No, and I live in the state next to it. Let me see. What's interesting is I've been to Mystic, Connecticut. Um, Yeah, I've been to Mystic, Connecticut several times in my life. Because there's the Mystic Aquarium there, which is uh very popular. I went there like for like elementary school um field trips. We would go to the Mystic Aquarium. It's about, I don't know, an hour drive, maybe a little longer. Um, because I think Mystic is right over the border from me. Uh, so I I've obviously I've been to Mystic, but not Mystic Pizza, but I've had Mystic Pizza because you can go to the supermarket and buy frozen Mystic Pizza. It's not the same, I know, but still, you can get it. Oh, we got a football question here for Acres of Movies. Excited for Stefan Diggs. Thanks for a terrific show. Very informative again. Thank you. Excited for Stefan Diggs. Cautiously optimistic. Coming off of an ACL injury or any major injury in any professional sport, it'll it can go either way. I've seen people come back and perform incredibly well, and I've seen people come back and they're just not the same. You know what I mean? And obviously ACL tears are different now than they were, let's say 10, 20, 30 years ago in terms of surgeries and recoveries and all that kind of stuff. But still, for a wide receiver who relies a lot on, speed and quickness and cutting and all that kind of stuff, um, it's gonna vary. And not to get too sports-tastic on it, I don't know how much better the Patriots offense is going to be with the new coaching staff. How much more can they get out of the players that they're bringing back from last year? Because it's pretty much the entire same offense. That's my thing. Anywho, thoughts on King Ralph? I don't think I've ever seen King Ralph with John Goodman. It's such a blind spot to me. I've been wanting to get King Ralph on Blu-ray for years because I love John Goodman, and I know there's a Mill Creek Blu-ray of that, and Mill Creek Blu-rays are not very good. You talk about bad encodes, bad encodes for their discs. That's the one thing with Mill Creek. If they cared more about encoding and the way they make their discs, they would do so much better. But they don't have the money to do that, and they can't afford to make their discs any more expensive than they are. They really can't. Let's see. What is the best way or format to watch the documentary The Thin Blue Line? There is a Criterion Blu-ray of The Thin Blue Line. You can watch it there. I believe it's on the Criterion channel as well. That's where I watched it, I think. The Thin Blue Line. That's the let's see. Hold on. That's the that's the Errol Morris documentary. There is a Blu-ray from 2015 from Criterion about the Thin Blue called The Thin Blue Line. It's one of the best documentaries ever, and it's such a profound documentary that it actually changed the outcome of the subject matter that it's discussing. It's discussing a crime that occurred. Yeah, yeah, but it's about a drifter who was charged with a murder of a Dallas police officer and sent to death row, despite evidence that he did not commit the crime. The documentary was so meticulously done that I think it unearthed and reversed it. I think. Don't quote me on that at all because it's been years since I've seen the documentary. It's probably been about 15 years since I've seen the documentary or so. I think I saw it before the Blu-ray ever came out. That's how long ago I saw it. But it's from 1988, Errol Morris, and it was also the way in which the documentary is structured is pretty much the template for the way in which documentaries are structured now. So super important for many reasons. For many reasons. Let's see. Acres the movie says that would be fun to have seen Robert Shaw in a comedy. It would have been. And then Acres movie says, I like how that movie shows the Portuguese people working at ports in that area. You're speaking my language because I am Portuguese, and Portuguese people uh, do a lot of fishing, and they do work in a lot of ports, and they do work in a lot of uh, port cities, port towns. They make up a large population down by the ocean here in my state in Rhode Island. Of course, in Massachusetts as well, you have certain areas that are very primarily Portuguese population based because when they came over from, when they immigrated here to the United States, uh, they kind of stayed near the ocean because Portugal is a lot of that. Um, and also they stayed, they stayed in areas that they knew the trade, fishing, things like that. Um, and of course, usually with any immigration, especially, decades and decades ago, people usually stayed within their communities. You know what I mean? Like the Portuguese stayed within their community when they immigrated here. So that's why today you get a lot of the culture and the influences have spread around and the food and all that kind of stuff um and whatnot here in where I live and whatnot in southern New England, essentially. But yeah, so yeah, I don't think I've seen it. It says Acres of Movie says the Haley Steinfeld dark comedy thriller a couple of years ago called Barely Lethal was interesting that that one was on HBO a lot in 2023. I don't think I've seen it. I still haven't seen the series she did on Apple, the one about Emily Dickinson, which I've been wanting to watch for years. That was like one of their launch shows, I think for Apple TV Plus was the Emily Dickinson show. Um, and talk about, I mean, in New England, there's the you can go to Emily Dickinson's house in Amherst, Massachusetts. You can go and see her house and whatnot. Well, I think all of her poetry and all of her work was published posthumously. She was very much a homebody. She's known as I think, the mother of American poetry. I think the father of American poetry is Walt Whitman, actually. I learned that once upon a time, Leaves of Grass and whatnot. Um, yeah, I have to see King Ralph. Yeah, Acres of Movie says, I'd love to hear your thoughts on King Ralph. It's available. It's available. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger is if it's the 80s film that you're talking about, I have it. I look at it every day because I have to move it when I move the stuff off I have the Vinegar Syndrome release. Matinee is excellent. There's a Blu-ray of that, and there's a 4K of that now from Shout. That movie's great with John Goodman. That movie is so underrated. So underrated. Um, nice. Okay. So that is it for Chasing Labels, episode number 161. It is obviously the last episode of the month of March of 2025. Spy number 161 is in the books. And I will be returning here in 2 weeks or so. Let me see what day that actually is. So that will be the 14th of April. I'll be returning there. And we did just do our unwatched pile with our good friend Celeste La Cabra. So check that out. That is available here on the channel as well as I think an audio format too. So check that out. And in the meantime, check out what else has been going on here on the YouTube channel, where I've been putting up a bunch of shorts and stuff and whatnot, and whatever else comes to mind in that time. And of course, we will be doing another unwatched pile sometime in April, probably towards the later half of April, like as we usually do. I have to talk to Steven about that. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You can check out this episode here on YouTube on Chasing Labels to check out the stream, check out the replay of the stream. You can listen to the audio version of this on Apple Podcast as well as Spotify and other places where you can find podcasts and such. And hey, keep on watching those movies because I know I will.